This episode of Dopey is brought to you by our great friends at Oro Recovery. Located in sunny Southern California, in Malibu and Western Los Angeles, Oro was created by our friend Bob Forrest and his friends Evan, Jared, and Bob. Oro was created to treat alcoholics and addicts with compassion and connection rather than control. We believe, like Oro, that treating people compassionately is the way to go when dealing with people like us. They have decades and decades and decades of experience in treating co-occurring mental health disorders, including SMI. They make sure that your stay is a good one and that your detox is as comfortable as possible. They have amenities you wouldn't believe: equine therapy, fucking sound bath meditation, yoga, surfing, and of course, the potentially spiritually transformative sweat lodge. If you're fucked and you're willing to go to sunny Southern California to get well, I cannot suggest going to Oro enough. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by our very good friends at Sober Buddy. What is Sober Buddy? It is basically like having a sober buddy in your pocket. It is an app that helps you get and stay sober. And it's also a blue fluffy guy that you might have seen on Instagram or on social media someplace. It is an awesome app. They have a free sober tracker that tracks your clean time down to the second. And if you download the Your Sober Buddy app at the either App Store or the Google Play Store, you can get the free tracker for free and post your clean time, which we urge you to do. Also, they have amazing challenges. We've been doing some Sober Buddy challenges on YouTube and Patreon. I'm going to post the paper airplane challenge today on Instagram too. Go to yoursoberbuddy.com, download Your Sober Buddy. I like it. I use it every day. I think it's fun. I think you can too. It is available at the iTunes and Google Play stores, or you can check out their website at yoursoberbuddy.com. This episode of Dopey is also brought to you by our good friends at Soberlink. Soberlink is an incredible device designed to help people stay accountable in their alcoholism. As we all know, addiction is ridiculously serious and it needs to be addressed. Nearly 15 million people in the U.S. have an alcohol use disorder, and that's just alcohol, not drugs. And only 10% of those get treatment. The Soberlink remote alcohol monitoring tool has helped over 500,000 people to be more accountable in their sobriety. Dopey was started with open and honest conversations about addiction and recovery, and Soberlink encourages this to help rebuild trust and maintain sobriety. We've teamed up with Soberlink to create a healthy habits guide for those in recovery. Visit www.soberlink.com/dopey to download the Healthy Habits Guide. And if you or someone else you know that can benefit from more accountability for alcohol recovery, you'll also find a form on that page to sign up for $50 off your first device. And that is exclusive to Dopey Nation. So go to soberlink.com/dopey and let Soberlink help you to stay off of the sauce. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's an amazing, great recovery podcast called Recovery in the Middle Ages. It is about two middle-aged suburban dads and their pursuit of life, love, and recovery. And they love Dopey, so I love them. Listen as they discuss current topics of interest to the recovery community, including 12-step recovery, the newest medical research, and talk about their daily struggles to maintain their recovery and their anonymity in the world of soccer moms and PTA meetings. If the neighbors only knew. Find Recovery in the Middle Ages on all podcast apps and check them out at middleagesrecovery.com. Before we get to the show, I also want to tell you guys about Mobilize Recovery. It's an amazing cause. It's going national this September, and it's a project really close to my heart. It's a nonprofit organization and a way for you guys to pitch in and help end overdose and addiction in America. There's a way for all of us to get involved. There's no cost and there is no hidden agenda. Mobilize Recovery is about you. It's about us. It's about our community and what we can be doing together to inspire recovery solutions all across the United States. Here is Ryan.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan Hampton. recovery advocate and founder of Mobilize Recovery. And I'm jumping on with Dopey today because we need you to help end overdose, end addiction, and inspire solutions for recovery across the United States. This September, the nonprofit initiative Mobilize Recovery is launching a national bus tour in partnership with iHeartMedia and Google. And we want to learn what your community, your organization, and your projects are doing to mobilize for change. Help us map the journey across the country. Learn more today at mobilizerecovery.org and submit your ideas to us. There's so many ways for you to get involved and to help us highlight the recovery experience that is so unique in different regions across all 50 states. Go to mobilizerecovery.org to learn more and to help us map this journey. And I hope we get to meet so many of you this coming September during National Recovery Month.
Before we get to the show, I would like to ask you to subscribe to Dopey. Go to dopeypodcast.com. Buy the merch. We're in an amazing partnership with SRO Prints out of Cincinnati. They're a bunch of junkies like us, and they make really good stuff. I'm wearing an SRO Prints shirt right now, and it is so comfortable. I've been wearing SRO Prints shirts all week. Someone told me to stop wearing Katz's gear so much and start wearing Dopey gear. And these shirts are more comfortable than the Katz's shirts. Shout out to Katz's and everything. But SRO Prints, they make beautiful stuff. We're shipping at the end of every month. Go to dopeypodcast.com and check out the new gear. Also, we're going to do an amazing snapback and hat sale. If you're interested, I will be posting details on Instagram shortly. Go to Dopey Zoom. Buy Dopey candles at northavecandles.com/collection/Dopey, or just go to the Dopey site. Support us on Patreon. So much funny shit is on Patreon right now. So many good talks, interviews, and I've just started throwing up audio tracks again if you hate to see my big-nosed face. Anyway, enough with the fucking ads. Here's the fucking show. And welcome to Dopey, the podcast on drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. My name is Dave. It is the evening in Sayville, Long Island, and I sit with the return of Fentanyl Jay on the program.
Thank you.
Now, Jay, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dave.
You got to talk into the mic. Or
Thanks, Dave.
People
It's
are going to
true.
give me shit.
Well,
because you're like, thanks, Dave.
Maybe I'll do it just so they give you shit.
Just, come on, talk to the mic. Now, when last you were on the show, people were coming up to you. Are you Fentanyl Jay?
Yep.
Can you give me some fentanyl?
Yep.
I want to know you.
Yep.
Has that ever happened again?
It happened twice at the restaurant that day.
But never again.
Not since.
See, I couldn't happen again.
Yeah, not since.
But we'll see. This is the straight Long Island episode of Dopey.
Shout out to Long Island.
Everybody says they don't care about having... They give me shit for trying to be a fame whore and want celebrities all the time. They give me shit.
I'll tell you what, I never listened to a podcast ever until I heard my friend told me fucking George Young was on this motherfucker, and that's the first podcast I ever listened to, ever, because that's like a celebrity to me.
Who told you?
My friend Sage.
What happened to Sage?
Sage is...
He's out?
He's not out. He's like how do I phrase this? Asylumed. He's like...
He's in.
Yeah.
He's in some mental state.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sage.
Big shout out to Sage.
People don't like the shout outs.
Fuck them.
I like the shout outs. I like the shout outs. In fact, me and Evan were doing some shout outs to you. And this is the big Long Island episode. So I'm taking people's advice. Some people love you. I would
people
say,
hate me.
no, you're a polarizing force in the Dopey Nation, which is a good sign. I would say you're 7-3-8-2 positive.
You think?
Yeah, I think it's around.
That's crazy because I have no socials. You know that. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I don't.
No TikTok.
No TikTok.
But you are hooked on
No
YouTube.
Snapchat.
Are you not hooked on YouTube?
Not at all. No, I'm on nothing. I don't do anything.
I don't mean you posting on YouTube, but you watch
No,
YouTube.
Not at all.
You're done with YouTube.
Never.
Never watched it?
No, I used to watch.
Well, you just came in talking about all this YouTube shit.
What?
David Dobrik, Mike
No.
Malak.
That's not YouTube. Well, that was when I had socials. Like David Dobrik, Mike Malak, Impulsive. That's what, remember when I was telling you, oh, you got to do those videos like in the shoot.
Our videos our videos are terrible. Yeah.
I don't know.
Shout out to Howie. So what I wanted to know is, if you're not doing socials, what are you doing, first of all? And more importantly, haven't seen you at a meeting in a good 9-10 days.
9-10.
And I just want to get an update, because when you showed up out of jail,
Yep.
did you go inpatient?
Yep.
In the end?
Yep.
You were fucking desperate,
Yep.
afraid,
Yep.
worried,
Yep.
a wreck.
Yep.
Now look at you, bronzed, smiling.
You noticed the tan? You look tan too.
Well, I'm like half Arabic.
Yeah,
but like
you're a tan
you're
dude.
fucking like you're living the life. Explain what's happened. Break it down.
So yeah, when I was fresh out, I was also, I think a big part of it was like making new, better connections. Like I had no one in my life that wasn't a drug seller, a drug buyer, a drug dealer. Like everyone I associated with in my life was like bad for me, and that was like the first time I kind of realized it, because I never, I had no more drugs, and I fucking was sick, and I was like, oh my God, what the fuck's wrong with me, and I get out of rehab, and I'm still like fucking 145 pounds, like, and I realized like, oh shit, like I have no one good for me, I've done it a million times where like I'll fucking say I'm done with this, and then I fucking call this. That was a big thing for me. People, placing the things they say, but like people was like a really big thing for me, because I had no good people, So like when I first got there, I was blessed to be like swarmed by some good people, Evan being one of them, like my,
Shout out to Evan.
Big shout out.
He's
to
our guest
Ev
today.
Yeah, Evan was one of them. But like seeing, he was doing the damn thing. And
Did you ever go to a 12-step before this time and be like, I like this?
No.
So how did it happen that you got, because you're not going now, which doesn't mean you don't like it.
Yeah.
We're in a weird sort of moment. And
Yeah.
I'm not here to say good, bad, one or the other.
Yeah.
I just think your experience is important for people to hear, because there are people who are fresh out.
Yeah.
And like you had a really good experience.
Yeah, so like I suggest, especially if you're fresh out, to do it. Like even if you don't want to, because I'm not sure I wanted to.
But you were there. How
But
did you
I did
force
it.
how did you make that happen?
But I did, honestly, a lot of it was, what the fuck do I do with my time now that I have so many fucking hours in a day and I'm not fucking zonked on the couch? Like what do I do with my time? Because that's when I started going to the gym too. Like I when I first got home, like,
Are you on steroids? This guy's fucking massive.
I'm fucking massive.
What are you on? Are you on HGH?
I'm on no, but you know what?
Tell me.
If that can, I heard that can make you grow a couple inches taller.
You're looking for a little height?
I'm looking for a height.
You got the girth, now you want the height?
Exactly.
Don't take it.
No.
It's probably a mistake.
I don't know.
So you're not taking anything?
Nothing.
You're like a fucking fiend in there, though, right? Every few months, I threaten the Dopey Nation with the Dopey Fitness Challenge. And the Dopey Fitness Challenge is basically when I feel insecure about myself and I'm like, now it's time to get fit. And whenever I see you,
week.
I'm like, now it's time.
Every week.
Well, I felt comfortable until you got here.
Oh, shit.
No, it's like, I'm ready for, have you ever heard of Jeremy Jackson?
No. He
was the kid. Have you ever watched Baywatch?
No.
Yeah, you're young. There was a show called Baywatch, and it had Pam Anderson and some other ladies and
Tommy Lee.
No, he wasn't in Baywatch.
Oh.
He was Pamela Anderson's husband. But
Sex tape.
David Hasselhoff was the star.
Yeah.
The kid who played his son was Jeremy Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He came on Dopey. He was cooking meth, and now he's all like fucking ripped up. He was going to be the Dopey Fitness Challenge guru, but I think you could do it.
I don't know. That guy, is he like ripped?
He's ripped.
He's ripped.
But come on.
I'm not like ripped.
Well, this guy's crazy ripped.
Yeah, he's got to be ripped.
So I'm thinking about I don't think I could. Let me ask you this.
Girl, right?
Let me ask you this. Well, that's debatable. Let me ask you this. You ready?
Yeah.
Do you think as you become more ripped, you're less funny?
I think as a oh shit.
I'm not accusing you of not being funny.
No,
I'm not. I'm just that's my fear.
I think as you get more, you know a real thing that I think as you fucking go to the gym more, you have more body dysmorphia. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, but break it down.
Like the more that.
That's a good word. I suffer from extreme body dysmorphia on the regular.
Yeah, you also suffer from fucking excellent vocabulary, and you just said I had a good word, so I'm fucking pumped.
I'm with you.
So yeah, like the more you're in the gym, like before I went to the gym, like I've been to jail, so like I came out pretty fucking big, you know. And then
what were you doing in there?
Fucking push-ups and pull-ups.
You're doing like Pilates in the back,
doing yoga in the shower. But yeah, like when I came out of jail, right, I was huge. I was like massive, and then I started doing like, you know, drugs and stuff. So like there was this perfect like little in between time
when you got thin and
I
ripped,
thinned out and I was shredded, and I was like, oh, that's the look.
Stuff.
That's the stuff. That's what I'm going for, you know. But like when I was like, so like I've been big before, but like now since I'm, you know, back in the gym and I was really, really skinny, I didn't really notice how fucking skinny I was until I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, oh shit, like you were fucking skin and bones, dude, you know. But now that I'm more in the gym, the more I'm thinking like, nah, like
it's not enough.
It's not enough.
I need to be taller.
Yeah, taller.
It's funny.
Bigger.
It's really funny how.
But it's like I
goes.
look almost as best I've ever looked in my life, and I've never thought when I looked like shit, I didn't think I looked like shit. I thought I was the fucking man. You know,
when you looked like shit, you thought you were the fucking man.
Didn't even think about it.
And now you wish you were a little bit. You wish you were a little bit taller.
And now that I look a little bit better, I like, you know, from outside I probably look better. You know, but like I'm thinking like, oh, this needs to be. You need a couple more inches on my kneecaps. You know,
like
or
what?
My shin bones.
How am I going to be enough?
Yeah.
Like me and Jay went to that meeting. I don't know if we talk about it on the show. When we went to Paulie's meeting. I don't know. I don't think we talked about it on the show. We have a friend.
AA gurus.
Yeah, we went to this meeting in Center Mauritius in the barn behind the Orthodox Church, and it was
super recovery
men's meeting. Everybody in there was like thick fireman, contractor, cop. Yep. Me and Jay walk in, fucking Jew, half Korean, fucking misfits.
The only minority.
We sit on the floor. It was rough. We sit on the floor, but the meeting was a hardcore meeting. At the end of the meeting, a guy shares, and he says, "I had 35 years, and I relapsed 2 years ago, and the only question I have is, am I enough?"
Yeah.
And that's I wish I had a few more inches, or I wish it was like this, or whatever. I feel pretty good. You know what I mean? Like I can say, I wish I was more ripped.
Well,
I wish
6'4", dude. Like you're good.
I'm like 6'1",
6'4",
but I'm like womanly. my physique is womanly.
You give off 6'4" vibes.
Nice.
Yeah, for real, definitely.
But it's like that's what I'm saying. You see in me something good, and I see in you something good. But it's up for us to see it.
If we combine,
if we can see it in ourselves, would be the trick. That would be the trick.
That is the tough. Yeah.
But I want to know about the transformation not from nerdy 98-pound weakling to, you know, solid rough, needing 3 inches, whatever. I want to talk about like when you were fucked and then you got comfortable and now you're comfortable and like, and you're not going, but it's not necessarily a problem. But I want you to put the psychological pieces together.
So like I said before, when you first get out, if you were even anyone in that life, right? Like you live a vastly different. You don't realize how vastly different of a life you're living when you're doing drugs and selling drugs and getting high. Like now, you know, when you look back, you're probably like, holy shit.
I know.
Like I can't believe that was life for me, you know? So you might not even see it at first, like when you first get out. That's why like I suggest going to the meetings right away, because literally if you fucking say, all you have to say is, I just got out yesterday. Like, the fucking room will do its thing. You know, like, people will fucking swarm you. Like, fucking...
Because they have
flies
to.
on shit. Yeah, you know?
They have to.
And if you just let it happen and, like, don't be defiant, you know? Because, like, maybe I wouldn't have, like, you know, hung out with these people getting high, but that's the point, right? You want to hang out with, like, different people. But some of these people...
Some of them I definitely would have,
too, you know? So I find, like, a good...
The people your
balance.
age, for the most part, in there, you would have gotten high with. You might not have loved them all.
Yeah.
Because you don't love everyone you get high with either.
It's true.
You know? But I guess, and it's like...
And then once I get a little bit like once I had a baseline, you know, once I had like a baseline going, like, okay, I've got like a solid group of people, you know, like your wisdom, fucking Davy Jones, bro. Like, you know, that's good people to have. Like, you're like a mentor, you know, like you're a good person to have. People like that, even fucking like Johnny Jukebox, like fucking crazy Johnny Jukebox.
Yeah,
like people all Garrett, like people all like that, like, you know, that you look to for like how, you know, this could be good for anyone, not even just drug addicts or alcoholics, but like people like that. And then like my core group of people like Ian and fucking Nick, you know, like I
saw Andre too. He seemed like he was good.
Yeah, I think he's celebrating a year next month.
He seemed like he was good, and he asked about you. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I've talked to him. He seems good, but I don't know. But like, here's the next question, because a lot of the audience, like, they're not interested in going to meetings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to do it.
That's the thing. There's like a fucking million bark. There's like a million ways, I think, for people to get sober.
All right, that's what I was going to ask you, because like
know?
you're not going now. Do you consider your recovery?
What do you mean?
Like when you're there,
Yeah.
right? It's fucking all recovery all the
Yeah.
time. Every second is
Yeah.
something else that's textbook and all the
Yeah.
bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
When you're not there and you're a I mean, like, yeah, you were a terrible drug dealer,
Yeah.
but you were also a terrible drug addict for your whole fucking life, from
Yeah.
like 13 or something,
yeah.
maybe younger, 12, whatever. And you didn't go to a meeting for a week, whatever. That's not the point. The question is, like, do you consider your recovery when you're not really active in 12-step?
I do and I don't. Like, I do when it's hard to say that I consider
What's it
my
like to,
recovery.
because like you know, like you're kind of, you see, you fuck a lot of people. Maybe I should take that out. But you also see one and she doesn't use.
Yeah.
And
Most,
and like
none of them really, yeah.
it's like,
as far as I know.
are you, in your head, are you just like a normal person now?
I mean, yeah, and on one term I am.
Isn't that weird,
I'm
though?
fucking cured. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. On one hand, it's like, yeah, I fucking went through what I went through, and now I'm different. It's whatever. I'm normal. I'm normal too.
You feel like that?
I do.
You're fucked. You're fucking fucked.
I really do. But then on the other hand, I think about it too. Like, I know I'm fucked, and I know that I'm not like all the way normal. But also,
You're not sure. You're on the fence.
But always, yeah. See, I'm going back and forth because I'm not fucking normal. But I wasn't normal, right? And then I fucking came out and did the meet and whatever, and now I'm a completely new person from when I was one calendar year ago. Like, in all aspects of my whole entire life, I approach everything completely differently.
And what is that about? How did it happen?
I don't, maybe
Psychic change? You had the psychic change.
I did. It might not have been the fucking, you know.
It was, though. You just don't want to even say
Yeah,
it.
but you think God just called my name, said Jay?
I don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
You crazy? I don't look at it like that. I don't look at it like that.
Well, you know what? I think I had a psychic change in fucking rehab. I really do. Like, I think I knew in rehab, I'm not fucking smoking fentanyl, and I'm not fucking selling drugs, rolling around with guns. Like, I knew that in rehab, like, that happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just, how do I know I don't want to do that, but what the fuck am I going to do? You know? So, like, when I first got out, I've never had a job in my life, ever. You know? So, like, I had all this fucking time, you know? So it's like, I first get out, and that's where the meetings help me a lot, because, like, it gives you something to do, interaction,
And all of a sudden, you're like
social.
back at high school.
And yeah, it's like,
You have a nickname for everyone you see. You're happy to see everyone. They're happy
Yeah.
to see you. And they're like, wait a second, I know how to deal with people.
Yeah, you're like reintegrating back into life. Like, I probably wouldn't have never. Well, shout out to Davy Jones. You got me the first job.
Yeah, I
I
did.
ever got. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like, what the
I
fuck?
probably never would have been able to fucking work anywhere. And now my job that I have now is so social that, like, if I wouldn't have been able to jump into that right away. I couldn't form full sentences like when I was in rehab. You know, I felt like dumber. Like, you know, like literally, I remember, like, one day waking up in my house and kind of like the fog being like lifted, you know, like whoa, like that was a fucking trip, dude, you know?
Well, when I first talked to you or heard you, you were all there, but it was behind like a lot of like fear and misery.
Yeah.
And when we first started talking, you were fucking miserable because you were like, how am I going to get from here to there?
Yeah.
And I was like, you'll do it slowly. And you did.
Slowly.
You know?
And that was like a big stepping stone for me. Like the meeting, like not saying I stepped over, but like that helped me, you know, I needed it. I needed it. So I'm not saying that I don't think I needed it. I don't think everyone fucking needs it to get sober. I really don't.
I needed it for real.
Yeah.
And I also kind of still do.
Yeah.
I need it because like it reminds me of shit. It keeps me dipped in the good stuff.
Yeah, but do you think like you're just going now like out of habit, like, you know, like
no,
like,
I'll tell you, I'm going at this point because of what Barbara said. You know, I go because first of all, Dopey's about drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. And if I don't know shit about recovery, it's not as good for the show.
It's true.
Number two, it saved my fucking life.
It's true.
Number three, I always went for two things. One, I went to Spitfire and get laughs, you know, big time. Like, because I get high off the laughs. And two, I went because I was nervous and I was like, I need, you know, spirituality. I need to get dipped in like the sauce, whatever.
So did you ever have a period where you were like, fuck this?
Yeah, I did. I had a big period, kind of around, I don't know, like a year and a half or something, or like when I moved out here.
Yeah.
Because I had a meeting I went to for the first year in Manhattan. And when I moved out here, I like stopped going.
Did you go to like one meeting in Manhattan, like a one meeting guy, like the same one?
Yeah.
Like, you're like a one
That's how I
meeting
am.
guy.
I don't need to fucking get around.
you don't need
I don't need to
bounce.
like see people. I just want to go get my shit and leave and go early and be done with it for the day. That's just how I am.
Yeah.
But I came back to the thing because Todd and Chris died, and I was fucked up.
Freaked.
Like I was just a disaster. But what Barbara said at the meeting, and I heard it last year, she was like, she goes to the meeting to see what she can put into the meeting. And I was like, that seems like a good idea. Yeah. And I've been sponsoring people. Fucking one of my sponsees just got a year. My police officer sponsee. And Paul at the meeting, he's like, yo, I just want to say this is fucking great. Dave's a fucking dope fiend and he's sponsoring a fucking police officer. And it was funny.
This is fucking Paul, alcoholic.
Fucking Paulie, addict, alcoholic. Fucking great. But before we get any further, please subscribe to Patreon. What the fuck? Nobody's buying shit. Fucking no one's buying the fucking products.
Stop.
The products that we're advertising.
Support.
Show
love.
Listen, if you're not going to support the show, just kick into Patreon.
That's it.
Kick into Patreon. Oh shit, we're doing a Patreon Zoom tomorrow night.
Oh, shit.
If you're available, you could be the special guest.
Oh shit.
If you're interested in that kind of thing.
So interested. Wait, when is this Zoom? What time?
I think it's at 8:30.
8:30?
Yes, tomorrow night, 8:30.
Wow, it's going down.
Yeah. So if you
Bunch
want
of people on Zoom, I might pop in.
perhaps.
Say what's up.
So in the future, if you are a $5 patron, maybe you'll see Fentanyl Jay at the Patreon Zoom.
Subscribe, baby.
Fucking, I had so much stuff I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to hear about your psychic change.
Psychic. It's changed.
And I think you should go back to give back.
Yeah, but you can give back because like
You're such a cocksucker.
Nah, yeah, but you can give back. That's why you can go
Dude,
back.
Jay fucking goes and he like has 3 months and dudes are lining up. Will you sponsor me, Fentanyl Jay?
I was like, dude, are you smoking crack still, dude? What
Did
am
you
I-
say that?
No, the kid said, oh, I don't know. I shared some shit in a meeting. He goes, oh, can you be my sponsor? I said, bro, what are you smoking?
Did you
dust?"
say that?
Yeah. I was like, are you smoking dust, bro? I can't sponsor you. I can't even do this shit. I can't sponsor myself. I can't fucking.
We talked a lot about dust last time you were on.
Did
right?
we?
Did
yeah,
we?
we did. Yeah, we did.
I'm always so fascinated
Yeah, I
by
smoked
dust.
that. The wet.
The fucking wet.
Yeah.
Have you crossed paths with any drugs at all in this run of sobriety? Like, did you see? Have you been around people using at all? So just to explain, some car alarms just went off, and Winnie went crazy, and it was your car. Why
Yeah.
was your car alarming?
Well, we heard the car alarm go off, and I was like, "Oh shit, is that my car?" So I thought I pushed it on my keys because I'm fidgeting over here. So I pressed the panic button, and then both car alarms started going off.
So it wasn't your car?
No, but two were going off at that point. Then Winnie started really turning up.
So where were you around drugs in your recovery?
So like at the restaurant, one of the dudes was like, gave me this fucking dollar bill. He's like, bro, blah, 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 blah.
Was it vegan?
No. Shout out to the vegan though. Fucking love that guy.
Okay.
But he offered me. He like gave me a dollar bill with Coke in it. I didn't realize that shit doesn't even tickle my fancy anymore. You know.
Well, break it. Tell me what happened exactly.
So like he's like, oh bro, take shit. I'm like, no bro, like I'm good. Well, he gave it to me. I was like, bro, I'm good. He goes, bro, don't disrespect me. And he was like fucking drunk or some shit.
Well, hold on. He gives you a dollar bill. Is
Like
it folded
up, like a yeah.
And what do you? And you know there's coke in it. That's something people do. No one ever gave me a dollar with coke in it.
I didn't know, but like I kind of got the feeling, you know. And then once I actually never opened it and looked at it. I go to give it to like this other kid behind the bar that I know that does it. So I was like, oh, here, take this. And he's like, bro, I can't even fucking do it right now, pussy. But like,
you're like, you're fucking, I'm going to shoot you up right now. You got a needle? I'm going to shoot you up right now.
Come here, kid. But yeah, so he fucking took it. I think he gave it to someone. I don't know. But that was it. And
what
like,
time of night do you think it was?
It was like evening, probably like around this time.
What was your reaction?
I really didn't have one. I was like, no. At first, I was like, because like I said, that doesn't even tickle my fancy anymore.
What
like,
the thing? I think I know the thing that would tickle your fancy, which would be just a drink.
What? A drink? I think a shot of fentanyl would. I don't even. That just doesn't tickle my fancy. Nothing.
Not because you went like a month ago, 2 months ago. You're like, I think I'm ready to have a drink.
But you know what would tickle my fancy for real? Smoking crack.
Smoking crack.
Yeah. And I don't know why, because like that was never like a big fucking thing for me. But smoke crack would tickle my fancy.
So when they give you the coke, you're not like
no,
it doesn't move you.
Doesn't do it. But if someone
like gave you a crack pipe with crack in it, you might be tickled pink.
I might be tickled fucking pink.
Wow. All right. Well, then we have.
But I don't know if because then if I did it, I know I'd have to do something.
You'd have to get down.
Gonna have to get down.
You probably like drink a bottle and then find fentanyl.
I've never
get into a fight.
Gotten down. I've never gotten down with drinking. You know.
So you just go as soon as you broke the seal, you just look for drugs.
Yeah. It's that seal.
So nobody at Jay's restaurant, please, nobody give him a crack pipe full of crack or a basket full of crack.
I'd appreciate that.
No crack for Jay. All right. Well, so before we get to Evan, I need to say that this episode of Dopey is brought to you by Athletic Greens. You know about Athletic Greens?
I don't. Enlighten me.
It is called, they have a product called AG1, which is like this fucking one scoop of AG1 has 75 high quality vitamins, mineral, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens.
Oh shit.
And like, I just want to say this to keep it 100, to be transparent with you and the audience. Athletic Greens is done with us because nobody buys it.
Really?
So if you guys want to see Dopey get sponsored and you have any interest in having a superfood making your gut healthier, get AG1. Now I'm gonna keep it 100 again. I take it every day.
Legit.
Every day. I get up, I look at Instagram, I take Athletic Greens, I get up, I look at Instagram, I maybe look at emails, I pray with my head against the floor like a fucking Buddhist monk. I take my Athletic Greens, I make a cup of coffee, I do my 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and like he was like, that's a lot. Meanwhile, he's doing like 1,000.
That's
like,
why you're looking buff.
That's
though.
why you're doing like 1,000, right?
I do like 500.
Andy Roy's at 1,000.
Andy Roy's a fucking animal.
1,000 of each.
Of each?
Yes, sir. He's fucking going on, and he's skateboarding, and he's 50.
Damn.
That's what I'm saying.
Heroin preserves the youth.
That's what I was youthful. When I was on heroin, I looked like I was young, and now I'm starting to get old. It's over for me.
You're still looking young.
It's over. It's over.
It's probably the AG1.
You see the AG1 kicking in. So fucking it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free or gluten-free. Shout out to vegan.
Shout out to the vegan. Get AG1, bro. You love vitamins.
Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. It comes from New Zealand. It's fucking high quality. I'll show you the packaging. It's fucking. I'll give you some. You want a little AG1 on the side? You want to try it?
Yeah.
I'll let you have it. It costs less than $3 a day, which is cheaper than your caramel macchiato, whatever you like. Fucking the dude created it for gut health, and it works. Cleans me out. I like it.
Like that?
It's a good feeling for me.
Yeah, that's why you're probably looking so good and fit at your young age.
Oh, stop.
I'm dead ass.
Oh, are you gassing me up? Are you putting gas in my tank right now? What are you doing?
Dave.
There's over 7,000 5-star reviews. Fucking,
that's a lot.
It's a climate neutral certified company. And most importantly, to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/dopey. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/dopey to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And Fentanyl Jay, you're going to go home with some AG1 today.
I'm going to try it out. I'll come back. I'll report.
Nice.
Report if I was cleared.
All right. So buy some AG1. Fucking maybe they'll come back. They probably won't, but it's good. I actually like it. I wouldn't take it every day if I didn't like it. It's kind of fruity and vegetable-y, and it really does feel good. Okay, this is an honor. Fucking, why don't you describe Evan before we go?
Evan.
Yeah.
What a fucking champion of people.
For sure.
He's a fucking stud.
Break it down.
First of all, look at the guy. He's like
beautiful.
Fucking Calvin Klein.
He's beautiful.
Kid's a stud.
He's beautiful.
You know, ripped, tatted.
Beautiful, bright blue eyes. I mean, we sound very gay. We're incredibly hetero in love with Evan.
Yeah. But like, if I was gay,
I think I said he was scantily clad during the interview. I think I said that because he was always wearing the tank top when I first met him.
Yeah, you did say that. Yup.
Surrounded by like good, it was weird because like right now you go to the meeting, it's not like the most attractive of meetings, but 2 years ago in the summertime, out of nowhere, this crew showed up from some sober house, and Evan and a bunch of women. It was like a weird, it was a weird time on the beach.
That was a weird time.
Doesn't sound right now.
Doesn't sound like the beach.
No, exactly. And anything else you want to say about him before we play it?
Great dude. Shout out to him. The greatest dude. One of the greatest dudes I've met in recovery, bro. He's got it. He's figured it out. He's hacked it. He's cured.
You see, you got serious problems. All right, here's Evan. Here's Evan. Hello and welcome to Dopey, the podcast about drugs, addiction, and dumb shit. And my name is Dave. And we are in Long Island, New York. We are sitting by the Great South Bay, and I'm joined by one of my very good friends who actually attends the infamous beach meeting. His name is Evan. Welcome to Dopey.
Thanks, Dave. It's good to be here. Finally, we're doing this.
And Evan also has enjoyed the show from time to time.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan. Once I met Dave and started listening, I've loved it ever since. I listen all the time, even on the YouTube, the Daily Reflections.
And Evan was recently on the Daily Reflections.
That's right.
And Evan showed up at the beach meeting a couple of years ago, and he's very handsome. He would wear
I don't know about that.
Scantily clad tank tops with very tan and tattooedness, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I was like, this guy's got a little bit too good, and I didn't think you would stick around. And then you also shared about drugs, and I was like, I like this guy.
Absolutely, and it's funny you say that because Beach Bums is AA, and I actually went to an NA meeting last night for the first time in like a really long time. And it was just interesting to see the difference. I thought it was very, like people there, I would say different things. Like you say, like buzzwords that like people know you're from AA.
Right.
And they kind of look at you and they're like, what's that about? But you know what? Whatever works for people is cool.
When I first started going to meetings, what they would, and I went to NA for, I don't know, first 2 years or something when I wasn't sober.
I did that.
And not because of NA, And they would say, oh, the other fellowship. I heard that a lot. Yeah. They don't say that at Beach Bums ever. No one ever says that.
And I've never heard that at really any AA meeting, which is interesting, like the difference between, because you hear like how AA like years ago was like very like, you don't talk about drugs or this or that. But since I've been in AA, like I haven't had that experience at all. But you go into NA, and I remember, even years ago when I first went in there, it was always like that. It was like, oh, you don't talk about the other fellowship, which I never got because it's like, you know, in my mind, whatever works for people is like that's cool, you know.
And division rarely leads to anything but being divided.
Absolutely.
Where being united is often very strong. The other thing, like, I've been on Zoom meetings for AA, you know, and my story is just drugs, you know what I mean? And I've had people say, this isn't the place for that. Like, I've had people say that to me, yeah, and I'm like, fuck, you know. But you know, listen, we just blew a whole tradition. Why are you so comfortable blowing traditions?
I know.
What's wrong with you?
I never went through the traditions.
But, you know, it's like somebody said, I've heard it written, you know, like that there are no rules, there are only suggestions. But where does that land with the traditions? If they're traditions, aren't they rules? You don't know.
You would think.
You have to ask our sponsors about that.
I need a tradition sponsor.
I'm sure your sponsor knows the traditions.
No, he does.
He knows fucking everything.
He definitely does.
But I feel like one of the early shares I heard you make in the meeting was about CBD, and I was like, CBD, and I'm all of a sudden now I'm thinking about getting a CBD sponsor for the show, because like I was all anti CBD forever, and like I feel like you guys, you wouldn't believe how many seagulls are sitting around us.
They're gonna shit all over my car, man. That's all right though. It's all good.
I went to meet with one of my sponsees by the bay over there, and I left my windows open, and I turn around and there's 2 fucking crows in the car.
Inside?
In the car. There are 2.
That was the last time you left your windows open there, huh?
It was exciting though, because crows are supposedly some sort of mystical animal.
Crazy the things we get excitement out of today.
I know it's a boring life when you get excited that the crows are in the car.
Shit.
So do you remember the CBD thing?
Absolutely,
What was that?
absolutely. You know, because I would see some of my friends not in recovery. One of my friends owns a smoke shop, and he would make posts on Instagram about like Delta 8 and all this new stuff coming out, and the CBD, like, it looks like weed. You know what I'm saying? It looks exactly like weed. So like
Did you smoke it in recovery at all?
No, I never smoked it in recovery, but I got the idea that popped into my head, like, oh, like,
I think we should smoke some right now.
I'll be smoking weed by tomorrow. If
right?
we
Do you think? I mean, like that's. I don't know. Like, I don't know why I'm even saying I don't know. I'm not going to smoke CBD joints, but like I would love to experience weed flavor again. Like I kind of want to like have like a weed flavored candle that really stinks of the dank or something.
Absolutely. You know, I've been around friends who are smoking, you know, in recovery, and like just
smoking bud or
just
CBD?
smoking bud, and just the smell of it,
THC
flower,
yeah.
And just the smell of it, you know, like it gets my mind going. So like I think the whole process of just like, you know, even hitting a vape or rolling it up, like will trigger something in my brain
But
where I'll be like,
you hit nicotine vape.
Yeah,
constantly.
That's a good point.
You're constantly vaping.
That's a good point. But I was doing that. You know,
but what's a good point?
That it's a similar process, you know, of hitting the vape, you know. But I think there's just something in your mind that knows, like, because like even the CBD are like those little cartridges with like you can see the oil in them or whatever, and it's just, you know, there's something in my head where it's just like, you know, will set something off for me, or that's the fear. It's a fear, and I'm not willing to find out whether it will or will not trigger me to go down that route of starting to smoke weed again. You know, it's just not worth it for me. You know, it looks like weed. It smokes like weed. So, fuck it.
Yeah, I talk shit all day that... I mean, like, I think that was the first time I said, let's go get some CBD and smoke it right now. So I feel kind of strange having said that, because I'm certainly not going to actually do it. But and that's where it gets... That's where you know it can be stupid. Like if I was like, all right, let's go to the CBD dispensary and be like, okay, let me get the purple haze without THC with just CBD, and let me get some rolling papers, or better yet, let me get a bong.
Exactly.
And we'll
hit
the CBD bong.
It's the process, and I think that process does something in your brain where it releases like similar chemicals that are released when you smoke actual weed, which can be triggering, and I'm just not willing to risk it.
And then it's like, well, what are your hobbies in recovery? And it's like, oh, I take bong hits of CBD purple. That's my big thing I'm into.
It's my normal Saturday.
Like I like exercising. I like reading and flying kites and smoking CBD purple haze bongs.
Absolutely.
Do you think they have a purple haze CBD?
Absolutely. Yeah, they have. I'm pretty sure they have like
non-THC.
Yeah, like all these different names,
like
just
mocktails.
Like, exactly.
Really?
Yeah,
that's fascinating. Anyway, so Evan is not only an addict in recovery, he's also a fucking drug counselor, and he also just graduated nursing school.
I did. Yep. So a little career change, switching paths a little bit.
I mean, sort of. How do you figure?
Well, I mean, it's a different function, Counseling is more sitting down and just talking to people. Now, like, the real reason that I switched to nursing was because I wanted to be able to really, like, help in a more in-depth way. Because, you see people in the meetings or wherever they have addiction issues or alcoholism, they got a lot more issues going on than just specifically their addiction. They have mental illness, they have cirrhosis of the liver, they have all these other things that come with it. So I kind of wanted to, be able to address a whole big picture of the person instead of just like, let's talk about your addiction.
Right. And it's challenging. It's more challenging, and it also is more of a career in terms of like living like a lucrative fucking career.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a huge piece of it as well. I'd be lying if I said, that wasn't a piece of it, but it's impossible to live on Long Island as a counselor,
Well, you wouldn't be living and making money is an important thing. That's also part of like feeling good and all that shit. And a career is a career, and not that counseling isn't a career. And you can make money as a counselor if you private practice it up.
If you private practice
and hook it up.
Yes, I'm not a social worker though. You need to be a social worker to do that. I'm a CASAC.
Right. So you're like, okay, I'm a CASAC. Do I get the MSW, or do I become a doctor, or do I do the nursing?
Well, that was my original plan, was to do that and do private practice. But when I first started working at where I work, I would see these social workers come in and they're making, maybe $5,000-$10,000 more than me, and they're putting in 10 years before they have a private practice. So I didn't feel like, I wanted to be where I wanted to be at sooner than that timeline,
Very addict of you.
Absolutely. I'm impatient.
So, when was the first time you got high?
The first time I got high was at my high school, smoking weed in the dugout, with a bunch of people.
With the dugout or in the dugout?
In the dugout.
You know what the dugout is?
No.
Oh, yeah. The dugout was one of the greatest weed smoking devices that ever was. It's a little wooden box with the little metal bat. They called it a bat. You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
This is awesome. Maybe this is just an old era. Little metal bat. It was the shape of a cigarette like this, and it has a little one hit in it. And you put weed in the big compartment of the box.
Okay, yes.
You've smoked.
Yes,
and you call it a dugout.
My dad had one of those. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does your dad smoke weed?
He does. So that's an interesting story. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But so we used to smoke out of cans. We would make a little...
Crush the can,
exactly,
put the holes in.
Yes.
Would you put the carb on the back or no?
We would put the carb on the back.
Fine.
We would use the top. We would break the top of the can off and poke little holes in it and then make a hole on the side. And that's how we smoked. We didn't have money for bowls or...
Dugouts,
or anything special like that. So that was my first experience getting high. Shortly.
How old?
13.
Wow, that's very young.
Yeah.
And where'd you grow up?
Lake Grove, New York.
You still live in Lake Grove, New York?
I do still live
in
Lake
Grove.
Grove.
So you're smoking aluminum cans at 13.
Yes.
When did stonerdom hit you?
Shortly thereafter, maybe within 6 months or so, I was smoking weed pretty much daily. I was never a big drinker, but when I drank, I drank. I can remember one of my first experiences drinking was New Year's Eve. I must have been 14. And I chugged a whole bottle of, what was it? It was like grape vodka, something like that. And
you got stupid.
And I got stupid, threw up everywhere. I came home, and we used to have a computer in like our little living room area, and there was a glass coffee table behind it. And I was so drunk. And I remember posting all this like cringy stuff on Facebook about my girlfriend at the time.
What kind of stuff?
Just
See, that's
like
the problem with
professing
being-
my love for
Nice.
her, you know, all this stuff, because I just basically like thrown up all over her and was afraid she was gonna leave me at the time. I'm like 14, and so I stand up from doing that and I fall through the glass table and it shatters into millions of little pieces. Somehow I came out unscathed, but like I'm just laying there and my dad comes and he like picks me up out of the table and there's glass everywhere. So that was like one of my first experiences drinking. So like whenever I did something, I did it like all the way. From an early age, I was doing that.
And that's why 14-year-olds shouldn't have Facebook also.
Absolutely.
So hold on,
absolutely.
you literally posted and then you crashed through the table?
Yeah.
Did you post the crash through the table?
No, I didn't even remember posting until I got up the next morning and I saw and I was like, oh my God, and I deleted everything. You know?
That's so funny.
Terrible, the things we do, you know?
Yeah, fucking. It's like I feel very glad that I didn't have social media as a teenager.
It's killer,
It would've-
especially these kids, you know, they got TikTok and all these things. They're like 7, 8, 9, you know?
Who knows what it does? So how did it develop? How did the stonerdom addict develop in you? Like when did you see like, this could be something?
With smoking weed or just drugs
Period,
in general?
period.
Probably at like, not until around 17, I considered like, maybe this is like a thing, like a little bit of an issue. For like 13, 14, 15, some of 16, like I was just smoking weed, a drink here and there with my friends. And then senior year of high school, we started doing a lot of Molly. We started doing a lot of mushrooms. And then at the end of senior year, I tried Roxy's, oxycodone, 30 milligrams, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But I didn't have access to it. I didn't have the means to it, really. But I knew, like, as soon as I did that, I was like, maybe it's... I still really didn't know, but I knew, like, I was dabbling.
What were you like at that point in your life? Like, were you like druggy kid?
No.
Like, what were you into? Were you an athlete?
Yeah, so I played sports. I always got good grades.
What sports did you play?
I played baseball. Funny enough, I actually bowled in high school, which was like the thing I was like super good at, you know. So I always
Hold up. Is there a bowling team in your high school?
There was, yeah.
And how did you get on the bowling team?
So me and my dad bowled for years, and I grew up bowling
is
with
great.
him. Yeah, I grew up bowling with him, and you know, I remember in
You're
high
in the
school.
bowling league and stuff?
Yeah, I did bowling league for
Do you
years.
still bowl?
Not as much anymore. If we went bowling right now, I could still bowl.
I'm sure.
I could still bowl, but I mean,
Do you ever go out casually with people and they don't know, and then all of a sudden you fucking bowl and it's like kingpin shit?
Well, it's like I took my girlfriend when we first met out on a date to go bowling, you know. And
Wow, to impress her.
I don't know if it's you're not impressing someone when you
you're
bring
that good.
when you got your little bag with like bowling shoes and your bowling ball, you know, and like
So you have the bowling bag.
absolutely. So in high school, you know, it was like when we would go to leave to the bowling alley on the bus, you know, you like drag your bowling bag through the school, and like it's not a cool thing, you know what I'm saying?
It's like playing the accordion.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like playing the accordion. So, you know, in high school, like that was the thing. It wasn't baseball.
How
or
did it
football.
happen that you wound up being the bowling star? How do I not know this? You really should talk more about
I don't
being a
really
bowling
share
star.
it too much, but
It's too bad.
I bowled 300 2 weeks back to back in
That's a perfect game.
yeah in 9th or 10th grade, and actually News 12 did a piece on me
I have to see it. Do you have it anywhere?
somewhere. I'd have to find it. So
That's so funny.
so that was my bowling career, and then I did that throughout high school, and then I did leagues after high school, but
So like, did bowling season compete with baseball season ever?
no. So here was actually a big moment in my life where, you know, I played baseball my whole life. Baseball was my love, you know, way more than bowling.
Oh, way cooler than bowling.
Exactly. And I got cut in 9th grade. And this was like a turning point for me where it was like weed was just like a thing, you know, and then it was like, fuck it. Like, I don't even want to play baseball anymore. Like, I'm going to smoke weed, you know, and I would miss practice with my travel teams and I would smoke weed, you know, and like, it was almost like, you know, I was like, well, fuck that.
Rebellion.
Like, yeah, exactly.
This makes me feel okay. It makes me feel better about not being on the baseball team.
Exactly.
And I can bowl really good stoned.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, we go to practice stoned all the time after that.
Oh,
But,
the black light in the bowling alley and stuff.
well,
It
no.
suits the
I
stoner.
used to hate the the nighttime or dark bowling because, you know, you like bowling, you actually got to see where you're throwing
This
it.
is
You know, it's
amazing.
very specific,
Yeah.
you know, like you move one board with your feet and the ball like goes to the left more than, you know, it would if you stood right. So,
When I was 9 years old, there was a kid, I had a birthday party, bowling alley party.
Okay.
And back in the day, there were bowling alleys in Manhattan. Now there's like one.
did you get the bowling pin
I
with
did.
everyone
I did.
signing
I had
it?
the
Yeah,
bowling
yeah,
pin
yeah.
with everyone signing it, and all I remember, I had the bowling pin for years. I would use it as a hammer in my room. But all I remember is that I'm playing against this guy, Carter Yang. Who knows why he's in my head? Carter Yang is in our lane, or whatever you call it, and I get up to bowl and I throw it, but the thing is down. The fucking the thing is
Rookie
down.
move, man.
But I get it timed perfectly. The thing comes up, strike.
Wow.
Possibly top 5 moments in my life to this day. All right, where were we in the story? Though?
So basically, you know, I tried the Roxy, you know, in senior year. Throw up.
No, hold up. Before Roxy's though, you're a star bowler.
Yeah.
I just took you off the path. You had the bag, fucking baseball cuts you, and you start smoking more.
Start smoking more, you know, still drinking here and there. I never really
can't
liked
believe
drinking.
in your qualification you don't talk about being a bowler.
Yeah,
You have to put it in.
I have to put it in.
It's
you
so
think?
good.
I don't
It's
know.
such an interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was,
You don't meet many bowlers. Do you often meet great bowlers?
Not usually. Not usually.
Have
Sometimes.
you ever
here
gone
and
to the
there.
bowling alley, like just a weird sort of thing, and like you're like double date or like with some friends, and someone's ever as good as you? Has it ever happened?
Yeah, I mean, there's people who are like really good out there. It's like I bowled with this kid when I was in 9th grade who was like actually the best bowler on Long Island and bowled.
Did you know though?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, no,
like,
I'm saying show up thinking it's going to be another day in the park where you fucking wreck everybody in this casual bowling, and then somebody there is actually as good as you.
No.
No. I would like to see that happen. All right, now back to the story. So you get cut from the baseball team. You start smoking more.
Yes, I started smoking more, and it's pretty innocent. Oh, so my dad. So I remember I was probably about 15, and I'm smoking in my bathroom upstairs. This was also a turning point for me in my life. And he catches me. And he goes, Evan, I know that smell. I've smoked my whole life. I know that smell. I know you're smoking in there. And I go downstairs, and I'm, like, acting all mad, like, oh, I just got caught. And I sit down on the couch, and my dad comes down, and he sits down, he puts his arm around me, and he goes, Evan, if you're going to smoke weed in the house, you have to share. And this was a turning point because, you know, as a 15-year-old kid, not blaming my dad for this at all. My dad was an amazing father, you know, so...
And he still smokes bud.
He does.
Not an addict.
Definitely not an addict. But, you know, as a 15-year-old kid, I took it as like, yeah, like, not it's okay for me to smoke weed. It's okay for me to get fucked up. You know, like, I just, like, grouped it all into
Well,
one.
why wouldn't you?
Right. So...
Because he didn't know who he was dealing with.
No,
either.
not that early. You know, it's just, you know, I think so many kids smoke weed. You just, like, think, okay, they'll grow out
Is your
of it,
dad
or-
Jewish?
He is, yeah.
Stoner bowler Jew? It's very rare. That's very
The
rare.
trifecta.
Very, very. He's like a unicorn.
Absolutely.
Okay. So fucking. Uh-oh. Hold on. That's crazy. That's crazy because that it does give you the kind of mixed signal, right? Like that it's okay. And your dad was a successful middle class. What does your dad do?
He had his own business for a while in graphic design,
Really?
and now he sells dental supplies. So yeah, he's successful in that.
Right. And like
sense.
he managed to smoke weed on whatever.
Yeah, and he dabbled. He grew up in the 70s. You know, he dabbled, but when it was time to stop, he stopped. You know?
So when you get cut from the baseball team, how does your life change?
Skipping practice, going out with friends more, you know, waking up and going to friends' houses and rolling blunts and playing Super Mario Brothers. Like, that's what my life consisted of, you know, and, you know, other things didn't matter as much. But I always maintained my grades. Like, that was always something that I was on.
So when you tried the Roxy, you know, I never did Roxy's. I feel like I really missed out from what I hear.
Yeah, you missed the ball.
Anyway, so what happened?
So I was with a couple friends, and this one particular friend who was older than us, and more experienced in drugs, came through with them, and we sat outside and we sniffed them, and I immediately threw up and ate Sour Patch Kids and tried to light a cigarette, but lit the wrong end of the cigarette, and I was in love, but like I said, I didn't have access to them at the times, but that was stored in the back of my head as like, oh, I really like these. So the year ends, and I get an academic scholarship to Drexel in Philadelphia, and so I say to myself, at this time I've, experimented a lot. I smoke weed pretty much every day. I've done coke, I've done Molly, but there was nothing that I was like truly like, addicted to where I was going to go through withdrawals. So I say to myself before I go to school, like, oh, I'm going to stop, smoking weed. I'm going to get a job. Like, I'm not going to get a girlfriend. Like, I'm really going to focus on what I need to do. And I get there, I get to Drexel, and within maybe a couple weeks, I have a girlfriend. I'm selling weed. I'm drinking and doing acid and doing all the things that I said I wasn't going to do, I was doing within a few weeks. And my experience with Drexel was complete hell. I had the scholarship, but I ended up fucking everything up, and I walked away with like 9 credits after that year that I actually got. Every other class I failed.
And that's
out.
like the first taste of classic addict shit.
Absolutely.
When things are not going well or according to plan, and and because you're doing these drugs instead.
So there's a lot of stories in between in that 1 year that happened. So like I said, I always, even going in there, like I knew I wanted to do those pills again. Like, I knew I wanted to do that.
And it's like a rain check in your head.
Right. And so, it's Philadelphia. So, like, it's Drexel, and then, like, you walk a few blocks, and it's the hood.
Yeah.
So...
It's always 1978 in Philadelphia.
Absolutely. So, we would buy weed from this kid, and I'd see this guy outside, short dude, and he's talking to people, and like when you're an addict, like you just have the sense, like you know when something's going on. So I go up,
when you're an addict, you think everyone's buying drugs all the time.
Exactly,
no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing it, so they must be doing it too. So I go up to him and I'm like, oh, what's up, man? What's up? Like, you got stuff? Like, just feeling it out, and he introduces himself as Pill Bill.
Nice. That's the guy to know.
Found out later that obviously wasn't his real name, but...
Wouldn't it be funny if it was?
Yeah.
His last name was Bill.
But thus started my relationship with Pill Bill, which was a hectic relationship. I would meet him, and at the time they really didn't have blues, which were the 30 milligram Roxys. They had like pinks, which were the 10s, or the 15s, which were the green ones. And he would give anything in between, any pills that he would have his hands on, he would let me know, and they would be... Sometimes they would be random pills that he would tell us are one thing, and then we go and we try to sniff them in the dorm, and it's something completely different. Or they're 5 milligram Percocets with 325 milligrams of acetaminophen, and we're trying to sniff that. We would go home and pretty much look up the
pill ID thing.
The pill ID thing. Yeah. And
I love that thing.
I would call him and I would be like, dude, you screwed me over. And he'd be like, oh, like, I'm sorry. Like, this is what I had.
How dare you?
Yeah. And I would go there and I would wait in the hood for like 45 minutes, an hour. I'm like, where is this dude? And he would come through with some like garbage pills that like weren't even, it's like an antibiotic that we're sniffing. So
I love Pill Bill already.
Yeah, Pill Bill was something else. He had like 2 teeth in his mouth. He was
Did you call him Bill, or did you always call him Pill Bill? Pill Bill, how could you do this to me?
No, I think we created that moniker for him.
It was Bill. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
where did it go from there?
So where it went from there is at the time Silk Road was a thing.
Yes.
And
Chris procured a lot of drugs on Silk Road.
Yes. So Silk Road was a thing, and my roommate, who actually died, was very into hallucinogens, and I was not at all. I was always scared of them. I felt like I lost control when I was on, and I had done acid and mushrooms before I even went to college. But he was like next level, like buying research chemicals on Silk Road, and doing
Chris was doing that.
Yeah, and like him
2CB and all these weird chemicals.
Him and I smoked DMT that these random people made that we.
How was that?
It's pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy, honestly. That one wasn't as scary. This
DMT is like, it was pretty great. I that was like one thing that I always wanted to do.
DMT was fun.
And like I got sober and I got to do it kind of. I wasn't in recovery when I did it, obviously, but like I don't know, it was always one of those rain check. And if you're sober, I cannot recommend smoking DMT because it could really upset the apple cart. But as far as drugs go, it was interesting drugs.
DMT was a good one. We used to also take like 50 Benadryl and trip out on that.
See, I still take Benadryl.
Not 50 of them at once.
No, I take one. I've like, and we got to talk about this because I have an ongoing Benadryl issue with the show, and you know, I take Benadryl to help me sleep, and you and I talked about this.
Do you take it every night?
I'm back to taking it every night.
Well, I take melatonin every night.
I know we
to
had
sleep.
this conversation.
You know, so
and I was going to get on melatonin.
Right. I mean, like, what's the? Is there a difference? I don't really know if there's a difference.
I have to say, last night I dreamt I was interviewing because I was thinking about this. I know what show I'm airing this week, and I was excited to interview you today, and that was what was in my. And I love the dreams on Benadryl. Melatonin has good dreams too. I love that deep sleep. It's like when because if I don't take anything, I wake up and I don't go back to bed. But anyway, let's not get caught up here. We're at 50 fucking Benadryls, DMT. What else are you getting off Silk Road? Dopey Nation's like, Dave, we know you take fucking Benadryl.
They've heard the story. They're sick of the story. They're done with the Benadryl story.
Sorry, Evan.
No, that's okay.
Dopey Nation, I apologize.
So we're really only getting the research chemicals.
But do you think I'm relapsing on a daily basis?
I don't consider it relapsing. I just think it's something that you got to be careful with. You know?
Do you have a dentist that gives you nitrous?
No.
All right, continue.
No. So we really weren't getting, much on Silk Road besides those research chemicals, which I was too scared to take. But we were also, like, drinking bottles of Robitussin, which was one of the scariest things in my life. Salvia, which was probably the scariest thing I've ever done.
Why?
Because I just completely, like, blacked out, and my trip was basically, like, I was falling into, like, this black hole in the middle of a classroom, and there were a bunch of hands.
Hold, set it up. Where are you?
So I'm in a garage somewhere. The salvia story actually happened.
I don't even understand salvia. Salvia is synthetic weed that they sell at the store, right?
Yeah, I'm
and
pretty
it's like
sure
the
it's
worst.
legal.
It's legal, and it's the worst drug in the world.
I don't know what the fuck it is, honestly.
What is it? You don't know. I don't
It's
know.
some plant. It's a plant.
Right. Yes.
I don't think it's synthetic.
Okay. It's a plant. It's like kratom thing.
I guess.
How can kratom and salvia be legal? Do you know people are getting off kratom and getting right on Suboxone all over the place?
I know.
Everybody.
I know someone who was highly addicted to kratom, like bad, like really bad. Could not get off of it.
So okay. Pill Bill's around and you have this roommate. He's like, you got to try the salvia.
So basically, yeah, and we try the salvia, and I go into this trip where like I blacked out, like I'm not aware of my physical surroundings. I'm just strictly in this trip where I'm falling into a black hole, and like random hands are reaching down for me, like saying Evan, like as I'm falling into the black hole, and like 15 minutes later I come out of it, and they're like, dude, like, are you okay? And, like, supposedly, like, I was ripping couch cushions off the couch and, like, throwing them on the ground and then, like, tripping over the couch cushions and falling on the ground. But I don't remember any of that. That wasn't a thing. It was just a black hole.
You never hear a good salvia story.
No, it was
you
the scariest
only hear
thing.
these stories. Dopey Nation, if anyone has a story, a positive experience with salvia, please send in a story to dopeypodcast@gmail.com.
I don't know how you could have a positive story about salvia. So we're doing that thing. Robitussin was terrible also. I think I almost died on Robitussin.
How often were you drinking a bottle of Robitussin?
That was a one-time thing because it was so terrible. Like,
describe it.
So basically, like, I just mainly felt sick, and then, like, my head was just like, wah, 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 and then I felt like I was overheating, and I was hugging a fan, and, like, I felt like I was going to pass out, and I went and ran my head under cold water in the shower, and then, like, I slept for, like, 8 hours, and finally, like, I felt okay. Like, it was not fun at all.
The problem with drugs like Robitussin is there's so much other stuff in the Robitussin besides the dextromorphine or whatever it is that you actually want. I don't remember. Is that the chemical that you want?
Yes.
And Chris used to do it too, and I think it was a similar thing. And it's like there's too much other stuff in there.
It's just terrible.
So what else were you doing at this point? Seems like this were the salad days of your addiction.
Yeah, so I actually had the girlfriend at the time. Her dad was a vet, like from bumfuck Pennsylvania,
Like a veteran or a veterinarian?
veterinarian.
Okay.
And you know, veterinarians have ketamine,
Wow.
liquid ketamine. So we would send her home, and this poor girl, man, I put her through hell.
How did it come up that she could get ketamine?
You know, I think, you know, I wasn't like really like into ketamine, but my roommate was like very into like the science of hallucinogens and like all that, the drugs and stuff like that. And as soon as she had mentioned that her dad is a veterinarian, like he had said to her, like, oh, does he have ketamine? And she was like, yeah. And so she would go.
How did she know? Was she using?
She like worked for
Wow.
him, and she would go home and get the liquid ketamine, and my roommate would like bake it up into some crystals in the microwave somehow. He would do it. I forget how he would even do it, and you know, he would sniff it, and that wasn't bad. That wasn't a bad experience. But this poor girl like was some like innocent girl from Pennsylvania, and you know, I feel like I just corrupted her, and it ended up really bad with her because you know, she started doing pills with me all the time, and like everyone was like in the dorm was like experimenting. We had our whole little crew, but like I wanted the pills. You know, I wanted the pills, and you know,
you wanted oxys or oxys.
yeah, yes, I wanted opiates, and they wanted to trip, and they wanted to smoke weed and do that type of deal, and I wanted opiates
Because it already made its imprint on you.
Exactly. So I remember going home winter break, and I sat on the couch, and I'm like feeling sick. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Had you started to get the habit in Philly?
yes,
But where were the oxys coming from? Just local.
Pill Bill.
Okay.
Pill Bill, because he would oftentimes have the pink 10 milligram oxys, and there's another guy, this guy Dan, who had oxys, and
So basically, the ketamine, the research chemicals, and Pill Bill were all going on at the same time.
Absolutely, yes.
And you're
yes.
selling bud? Or are you selling anything
We were
else?
selling bud, nothing else at the time, and you know, so I had met a few people, and they had set up this like robbery basically of this kid who I had no clue. They used me to rob the kid basically, and they sat back and, you know, collected
What was the
money.
robbery?
So, you know, someone who wanted pills, and, you know, I think where we lived on Drexel was like 34th Street or something like that. And they told this kid we had to connect for a lot of oxys. I went down to maybe like 15th Street, so somewhere there, and I met him, and this kid is so hesitant and scared. He's got like $2,000 he's about to give me, and the plan was to just tell him I had to meet the guy on the street over.
Was the middleman him?
It was to middleman him,
But rob him.
So
How did you get used in the deal?
So I guess they didn't want to get their hands dirty, the two other people, and they told me like, oh, we'll give you $500 of it. And at this time, I was like starting to be like a little down and out. Like I didn't really have access to as much money, and you know, the $40 a week my parents were giving me wasn't enough anymore.
Sure.
So I was like, yeah, I'm down. So I met this kid, and he's super hesitant to hand over the money. He wants to meet the guy himself. I'm like, the guy won't meet you. Like he'll only meet me. Finally, I convinced him to.
And you know he's not going to get any pills out of this.
Yeah. So finally, I convinced him to give me the money. I'm like, the dude's here. I walk over to the next street over, and as soon as I get out of sight, I run as fast as I can all the way back to 34th Street.
Horrible.
Terrible.
What a nightmare.
Terrible. I feel, looking back, I feel terrible. Because I've been in that spot also the other way around where, like...
Did you tell your sponsor that story?
I'm just like, this is something that just popped into my head now, like talking about Drexel, but no, I didn't. You know, I probably should make an amends to someone for that, right?
Wow, if you can. I mean, oh man. Have you ever been taken like that?
Not like that, you know.
That's high. That guy is very, very trusting and stupid to give you $2,000.
Yeah,
Why don't you start with like a couple pills?
I know.
Start, you know what I mean?
Right off the bat.
And then your friends are kind of ripping you off too by only giving you $500
exactly.
when you're doing everything.
So I come back with the money, and I text them, and I'm like, I think I should get more money, and they're like, nah, you're not getting, like, dude, are you kidding me? We had a deal, and I was like, all right, whatever, I have $500. And then I went and bought more pills. But anyway, so I come home for winter break, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm starting to feel sick, and I'm like, what is going on? And then it hits me. I'm like, I'm withdrawing. And that was the first time I was really, like, a little scared.
Right.
A little scared, like, because you know, like, that the things could be addicting, but, like, you don't
know what it is to be in withdrawal or to be addicted.
Right. So a normal person, right, would go back, because I had, you're home for a few weeks, so I wasn't, like, sick anymore when I go back. A normal person would be like, all right, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, I'm not going to go down that route. I'm hitting pill bill up as soon as I'm on the train back, already, setting it up to go pick up as soon as I get back from winter break.
Well, how far into withdrawal did you go?
Not that extreme, just like...
But you didn't run and cop here.
No, I didn't know anyone around here. It wasn't to the point yet where I was so deep where it was like, okay, like I need to like go find, which happened, but not until I came home. So basically the rest of the school year, I did not go to class. I got academically dismissed from the program. I was in a physician's assistant program. And I came.
So you always had some interest in medicine.
Yes, definitely.
Helping people. And
definitely. So I come home and I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do with my life? And I spiral from there, like heavy spiral. I met some kid who was willing to front me like 50 blues at a time, 50 Roxys at a time to sell. And
was it Jay?
No, it was not Fentanyl Jay.
Or Infamous Ian?
Or Infamous Ian.
Or Wiz?
No.
It wasn't anyone in Jay's crew?
It was not anyone in Jay's crew.
Okay.
So, Dopey Nation, I love Jay, by the way, for all you out there who are kind of shitting on him a little bit. He's a great guy. So I just want to shout out to Jay.
Shout out to Jay. There was a dude at the meeting today. It was fucked up. He was probably 55. I think it was the first time he was there. It was a meeting all about fear. The meeting was like, it was 8:57. Meeting ends at 9. He shares that his son died from fentanyl in January. Okay? Like, in his Father's Day. And I'm like,
Jesus.
fuck, if Jay heard this thing, like, what does that do to him? It's just like,
absolutely.
It's fucking thick and convoluted to be a drug addict who deals fentanyl and get sober. And who knows? Thank God Jay's sober. He's doing good.
Yeah. No, he's, I only know Jay sober, but the Jay that I know is an amazing person. And I think anyone who's dealt with addiction, realizes that we do things when we're caught up.
You just robbed this poor kid for
exactly.
$2,000.
You think I'm the type of person who would normally do that? No, you know what I'm saying?
I'm not giving you $2,000.
So, we do things that, we wouldn't normally do, and was his particularly bad? Yeah, but I've done some particularly bad things, and, I don't think we should be totally
Okay. I'm with you, but that was heavy at the meeting. I wanted to share that with you.
Absolutely.
Now, fucking dude, not Jay or Wiz or any of his crew, are fronting you 50 blues a day.
Yes, fronts me 50 blues a day. Big mistake on his
part. You're using them.
Because I'm using. So I'm doing probably like
49.
at least 35 to 40,
right.
Coming up $400 or $500 short every time.
So how does he deal with that?
I figure out ways to get money.
And what would you do?
This is where it got really bad, honestly. So there were times where I had...
It's not going to be a big bowling tournament?
No, it definitely wasn't a big bowling tournament. So I had one particular time, like my parents knew I was wrapped up at this point. They knew. And, I had told my dad that I owed some big drug dealer money and I needed money.
And he knew you were strung out.
He knew I was strung out. They had never dealt with anything like this before, so they didn't really know until later on, like kind of the extent and like how to deal with it. So I told him I needed money, like I owed some big drug dealer, and he was afraid for me, and I had to meet him at the mall to give him the money, and my dad wanted to come because he was scared, so he came and he drove us, and he walked in the mall, and we like walked into the food court, and I was like, what am I going to do? Like, my dad had given me the money to go give this drive. My dad wanted to oversee it to make sure nothing happened. So I went and sat down at this random kid's table. He was sitting by himself, and I said, listen. I looked at him, I said, listen, I'm going to pretend to give you some money right now, and you're going to get up and walk away. And the kid was like, what? And I was like, just pretend to take the money. And so I did that, and somehow
And the kid did it.
the kid did it.
And you kept the money.
And I kept the money. That was one example. Another example is I had this friend who was using with me.
Because you were going to... Why? But didn't the dealer need to get the money back in order for you to stay getting drugs?
Exactly.
You just didn't want your dad to see the guy? Like, why
that
didn't
wasn't that at the mall?
Yeah.
That was a random person.
No. What I'm saying is, if you're strung out and you owe the dealer money and you tell your dad and your dad gives you money to give the dealer, who got the money?
The dealer ended up getting the money. It probably would have been smarter to just go to the
Yeah,
dealers.
like-
But, you make up these stories when you're out
But why
there.
do you think that you didn't want to do it? Like, what do you think was... I mean, like, my dad used... Like, I remember at the end of my run, and I've told this story, so forgive me. I would tell my dad I owed all these people in our buildings money, and I told him I owed them twice as much money that I did. And I also told him that I couldn't have him at the door with me because it's too embarrassing. So I would take half the money, pay the person back, and go
Right.
cop. But why do you think you... And I'm just saying that so you understand that I've been in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Why do you think you didn't want to actually just pay the guy when you were going to pay him anyway? Or is that a stupid question?
No, that's a good question. I can't give you an answer as to what I was thinking.
You didn't
in
want
that
him
moment.
to see the guy.
Maybe I didn't want him to see the guy, or I didn't want to walk back with a bottle filled with pills
Right.
and get in the car
Right.
with the pills shaking in my pocket.
Right, 'cause-
but I don't know I can't remember exactly what I was thinking.
Because you
in that
wouldn't have been
moment.
able to like hide the fact that you were happy and got drugs and
Yeah. But the fucked up part about it is, like, my dad wanted to bring the gun that he had. And so, like, I put my dad in that position where I don't even think the gun worked. It was like this old
and
school
what
gun.
was he gonna do with it?
I don't know. Threaten the kid. Like, I think he was afraid for my life, Like, he was afraid that this drug dealer that I had made up was going to, like, attack me or something, So I put my dad in that position. So that was one way that
And then, but how did you keep it going?
with the dealing.
Yeah.
So another way was I had someone who was buying from me, and so I had a friend who was using with me at the time, and this was like an old guy, right? And so I said, like, I couldn't sell him the pills because, like, I didn't have the pills, to sell him. So I set up the deal anyway, and I said to my friend, I said, listen, I said, if you rob this guy,
Oh my God!
yeah, it's fucked up, I'll give you 2 blues and $40 when I re-up.
Oh my God!
I couldn't even do my own dirty work, you know what I'm saying?
How
'Cause-
could you?
So we pull up to the guy's house and pop the trunk, and I take the money, and I close the trunk, and I couldn't even look. I didn't even have the balls to look. And we just got in the car and drove off.
So what happened? Did he call you, that guy?
The next morning, and I still to this day don't know how he knew where I lived, because he had never come to my house. I had a bat through my windshield in my car the next
How
morning.
old was the old guy?
He had to be in his 50s. So that was another way that I got the money, and this like
By robbing that guy.
robbing that guy. Yeah,
That's rough.
yeah, it's bad, man. I did.
There's no bowling tournament.
No, there's definitely no bowling tournament at this point. There were no bowling tournaments.
Right.
So, that's how bad it got for me. And then eventually,
How guilty did you feel?
I think I was numb at that point.
Sick, right?
Numb because I was just like I wanted to get high, one, and two, like, that was not who I was. Like, I'm not a tough guy. Like, I never fought, like, I wasn't a street guy. Like, that's not, like...
But there's certain things that you need to kind of be able to present in that situation.
Right.
You're in that world. You're of that world. You need to speak the language and kind of be able to be of the world. And in that scenario, like, you knew what had to be done. You just couldn't do it.
Exactly.
And you pay the dude, and it's just, I see in your face, like, how it shakes
Yeah,
you.
man.
It's fucked up.
Yeah. Like, that's the shit, like, you hold that guilt over for a long time, The stuff that's hard to let go.
And is there amends for that guy?
I think it's a living amends. I don't
Do you know who he is?
I have no clue who he is. I don't remember his name or where
Yeah,
he
right.
lives, So I think it's, giving back in other ways. That's the only way I could really make amends to that particular person. So I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast.
I'm sure he's listening. And he's like, that fucking bowling champion. So, like, what the fuck? So that happens.
So that happens. I keep coming up short. I end up owing the dealer who's fronting me like like $1,100, $1,200, something like that. And, like, I couldn't maintain it. So, like, I come clean to my parents. Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I owe this guy money. Again. And my dad's like, I'm coming with you to drop it off to see you face to face. I don't know if he knew that, like, I didn't give the kid money at the mall that time. And they were like, you need to get help. And I went into rehab for the first time.
Did he go with you to give the kid money?
Dropped it off in the car.
And the kid was there?
We drove by his car. My dad was in the driver's seat. I was here. I got out of the seat. I went around. I gave the kid money in the car. The car was right next to our car, my dad's car. As we pulled up,
he saw the kid.
And he saw the
kid.
Did
he give you pills?
No.
That was the end.
I was going to rehab.
Did you go straight to detox?
The next day. The next morning, I went into rehab.
Where'd you go?
Seafield.
All right.
Seafield.
That's local.
Yeah, West Hampton Beach. And I stayed for 3 days before my insurance cut me. And
what do you mean before your insurance got you?
So your insurance will sometimes only cover a certain amount of days for you to stay in the rehab. So I guess because it was my first time, I hadn't really done outpatient before. They gave me 3 days to detox when we all know that's not nearly enough. And and then they said, okay, we're not giving you any more days. Go do outpatient.
So you left Seafield 3 days in?
3 days in, yeah.
To do outpatient to live at home?
Yeah, but no choice. I wanted to stay. There was no choice of my own. You know, I wanted to stay, but, my insurance wouldn't cover it. So I said, I'll show them. Fuck, how dare you do that to me? I'm trying to get help. I'm a 19-year-old kid. Like, how could you do that to me? That whole, like, selfish, like, it's all about me mindset.
Victimizing yourself.
Right. And, I had met someone in rehab who I started hanging out with, that whole story. Not a girl, a guy. And we started doing dope together. And that was the first time I'd done dope.
It's another kind of rehab romance.
Yeah.
It's very similar, actually.
And that kid is actually, he's also dead today. So
that's when you tried heroin out of Seafield.
Out of Seafield, yes. Yes. And at this point...
And you're still living at your parents' house.
I'm still living at my parents' house.
And they're enduring you.
Yeah.
And just before we move forward, Evan just celebrated 2 years, and I met his parents, and his dad didn't look high at all. And, you have a nice relationship with your parents.
Yeah, they're
great. Spoiler
great.
alert.
They're great. They're amazing.
Okay, so you're copping dope out of Seafield. Did you shoot it?
Not at first. I sniffed it, but very shortly thereafter, I was shooting it. That same kid who I'd met in rehab helped me shoot up for the first time. At this point, I'm also smoking crack, which I didn't start doing through that kid from Seafield. It was actually through the same friend who introduced me to Roxy's, who actually was the first person that I smoked crack with, and that was another one of my loves, man. So now at this point, I can't rely on like being middled. Like, I needed to figure it out myself, and I knew about this town close to us that was a bad town.
Was it Bellport?
Not Bellport, Gordon Heights.
I don't even know it. That's how bad it is. Okay, yeah.
And it's a really bad area, and I would drive in there, and I would park my car, and I would go up to where I would see like the sketchiest looking people. And this is like, I'm a white 19-year-old skinny kid at this point, but I needed my fix, so I would go up and be like, yo, you
were like
crack?
A classic junkie character.
Yeah, you got crack, you got dope. They'd be like, let me see you take a hit right in front of me. And I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
I'd be like, great, like, not a problem. So that's how I started to get my own dealers. And so within like a month of me getting out of Seafield, the first time I'm back in Seafield for 21 days. And
how were you paying for it?
We went
through...
No,
the dope and the crack.
Just random stealing from my parents. Yeah, that's a big piece. I would steal from anyone that I could. I would steal coins and go to Coinbase and do that whole deal. I would steal jewelry and pawn it, and my parents had these.
So you were stealing constantly.
Constantly, not from the people who I loved the most. Not going to stores and doing the whole, stealing
where
from
it was
Home
easy.
Depot. Exactly.
Where you had trust.
Exactly. Not even trust at that point. Just I knew
access.
Yeah. So I would steal.
And I think, listen, I also want to say this. I think it takes courage to be able to talk about this and be thorough in it. Like, and I appreciate
I want to be as
that.
thorough as possible.
And I'm sure some people are gonna be like, "Wow, Evan's a fucking scumbag." But listen, I stole from my parents. I stole from everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it to justify it. I'm just saying we do shit that we wouldn't want to do.
Absolutely.
So before you judge Evan, take a look in the mirror.
Well, absolutely. It's like I would never do this stuff today or before my addiction, but like
In the
I was
throes of it.
sick. I was sick in the head and like
Mental.
Yeah, just completely. I stole like a coin collection that my great grandparents had brought over from Poland when they immigrated. Like
It's
all
insanity.
this shit that you can't replace. Like terrible. So that's how I was.
And I
affording
commend
my
you
habit.
for being this honest.
I want to.
It's good.
Like this is what I this is my truth. This is my story. This is where it took me. So after everything was stolen and there was nothing left to steal, I'm taking like pairs of sunglasses and shoes to the dealer and like, please give me a 10 rock, please, anything. And they just looked at me like a fiend, So there's a situation where I lent my car out to a dealer, and he gave me like 100 piece of crack and a bundle for it or something, and he was supposed to bring it back by midnight. So it's like 12:30. I'm at my house. I don't hear from him. 1 a.m. Get a knock on the door. Suffolk Police.
Oh no.
Yup. And he's like, do you own a Dodge Charger? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, it was in a high-speed chase, and we don't know where it is. He's like, who has your car? And I'm like, and I've been smoking crack all night, so I'm cracked up right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I lent it for some weed, and they're like pressing me, and they don't Finally, they end up leaving, and they find my car like 2 hours later, and the whole side of the car is smashed in, and it's like $3,000 worth of damage. Bad. And that was my first car. And my parents always bailed me out. They always bailed me out, man, which, I'm grateful for that. They never kicked me out. Did my addiction go on longer? Maybe. But if they also kicked me out, I don't know where I would have been.
So wait, what happened then?
When?
When you're getting pressed by the cops, how did that end?
Pretty much like they were asking me these questions, and I was like floundering with my words, and not like giving them what they wanted. And eventually they were just like, all right, well, we'll let you know if we find it. Like nothing really came of it.
What happened to the car?
They randomly found the car abandoned somewhere in Coram. And
Did you find the dealer? You're like, okay, you owe me like 300 pieces of crack.
So
and, like,
he
3
said,
bundles.
yo, you the man, like you didn't blah blah blah, I got you on free shit for a little bit, and that lasted like a day.
Right.
It
was a glorious day.
It was a
right?
great day in an addict's world. So anyway, I end up shortly thereafter, I end up going back to rehab again, back to Seafield.
And your parents are taking care of it.
Pretty much. Well, no, the insurance covered 21 days this time, because they saw I couldn't stay clean. I guess
So
the insurance
stupid
company.
that you only got 3 days the first
Crazy.
time. It doesn't make any
It's like,
sense.
these insurance companies are fucked up, man. They're setting people up to die. So anyway,
Or at least to fail.
Yeah. I go in there for 21 days. I come out. I relapse right away, and I start the same spiel for like another 5-6 months, and then I go away again to somewhere in Pennsylvania, and then I go to a sober house in Connecticut, a Christian sober house. So as you said before, I grew up Jewish, but not really. Like my heritage is Jewish, but like we were not religious at all. Like we would do some of the holidays to like appease my grandparents. But I never went to temple. I never got bar mitzvah. None of that. So I had no concept of any sort of religion, and I was so broken at the time when I went to that Pennsylvania rehab. They were like, okay. I was like, tell me what to do. They're like, all right, we're going to send you to a Christian sober house in Connecticut. And I'm like, okay, just send me there.
Step 1, accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Check.
So needless to say, the Christian sober house did not keep me sober, but like a few days within being there, and this was like in the hood of Connecticut. My parents dropped me off there.
Which town in Connecticut?
New London.
Okay.
And my parents dropped me off there, and they were like, what did we just do? Like,
right.
Where
Why
did we
do this?
Where did we drop off?
Because at that point, I mean, it's like the story you're telling is like a classic story.
Absolutely.
And it's like every time it gets worse, and you learn more and more and more about your addiction. You learn about what you're willing to do. You learn how to get out of shit, how to like get free shit. And your parents say, "Oh my God, I can't believe what happened to our son and how do we save him.
Exactly. So I'll fast forward a little bit and I'll spare you the Connecticut story. I mean, all that really happened there was that I continued to get high, and then I ended up coming home and I kept using it. At this point, I'm down bad. Like, I'm shooting coke, I'm shooting dope, I'm taking a lot of Xanax. Bad mix. And there was at one point, like, my parents were like, what do we do with this kid? And I'm still using. It's like a few weeks after I'm back from Connecticut. And, I never speedballed, but I would shoot the coke and then wait to come down and then shoot the dope.
Why weren't you speedballing?
I was never really into it. I liked one or the other, So there was one point where, like, I don't know if I overdosed, but, like, I feel like I was on the brink of overdosing, and like I felt like I was about to go out, and I ran out of my room, and my dad was there, and I said, I think I'm overdosing, and he, like, led me down to the couch, and I passed out for like 48 hours straight, did not get up, like, and at this time,
in your parents' house,
in my parents'
and they
house.
didn't call the ambulance.
No, because they saw me still breathing,
Right,
at the
right,
time.
right,
They would constantly be checking on whether
Your
I was
parents
breathing.
were probably hardcore enablers.
Oh, my God,
It's
definitely.
like they were letting you die in the house.
And everyone,
God bless them.
Everyone would tell them, you
They
need to
they
kick him
loved
out.
you a lot,
You
right?
need to kick him out. You need to kick him out. And they just, I get it. Like, if you're a parent and your child's using, you're afraid that if you kick them out and they
They're
go
gonna
and die,
right.
you live with that guilt the rest
Right.
of your life.
Right.
So I understand. And so people ask me sometimes, like, parents of clients or whoever will be like, what should I do? Should I kick them out? And I won't touch that question because I'm not going to be responsible for that. I can't tell. Everyone's
do you
situation
say?
is different. I say everyone's situation is different. I suggest going to Al-Anon.
Right. Or Narcanon.
Narcanon,
My
yeah.
parents went to Families Anonymous, and they were like, let him be, leave him alone. They, don't pay his rent, don't do fucking anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't live in my parents' house after 17 or something because, like, it was a small apartment. We didn't want to be around each other.
Right.
Anyway, so fucking, where are we?
So I come home from Connecticut, and I
overdosed.
basically, I think so. And at that point, I'd given myself enough time, like, where I was able to take Suboxone. So I got on Suboxone, and this started a new chapter of my story. So I take Suboxone, I get on Suboxone, and I continue to smoke weed. Mm-hmm. And I stay sober from dope and crack, and I don't drink, and I just smoke weed and I do Suboxone. And this continued for a long time, probably like 18 months. And, I'm starting to come off the Suboxone, and I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? Because when you get on Suboxone, like, and you're smoking weed, like, your life can be stable. Stable where you're not fucking everything up.
Everything isn't a fucking disaster.
Exactly. So I'm like, what do I want to do with my life? So, and I'm not proud of this, and I want to preface this with saying, like, there are amazing substance abuse counselors out there, and I don't want anyone to get the wrong opinion that, like, counselors do this. I've heard of counselors relapsing before, but I've never heard, like, my particular story where it's like you become a counselor and you're still using at the time.
It's great.
So
it's one of the great. It's one of the greatest stories in the history of stories.
And you know what?
Because it's like, well, I know about drugs, and I've kicked drugs a million times, and I've got. What were you thinking? What's the thing I know about this stuff?
I think one, it was like total just lying to myself and being in denial that, like, I thought I was sober. Like
Right,
I
deep,
kicked
though.
like I kicked heroin, I kicked smoking crack, like I'm sober. And, like, I have 18 months, like I'm sober. Like
I can help somebody.
even though I would go to NA and I would hear, like, that's not sober. It's still in my mind. I was like, well, look, and I think it was also the desire to have other people see me and say, he's
He
got a
has his shit
path.
together.
He's got a path. He's helping people. Like, look at what he came out of.
And then I'm sure a piece of you knew that, like, if you got into this world, it probably would help you.
Well, that's what I thought. And I had convinced myself that, when I get through school, like, I'll stop smoking weed, like the same lie that I told myself before I went to Drexel.
Right.
Like, I'll stop smoking weed and I'll be off subs by then, like, so I'll be really doing it the right way. Needless to say, that did not happen. I did get off Suboxone. Suboxone I got off of.
How did you get off Suboxone?
Slow taper.
How long? Because I think I took Suboxone, a bunch of times. I never stayed on it. And there's so many people in the Dopey Nation who are on very long-term Suboxone. I know so many people who are on very long-term Suboxone, and I think it will be helpful for people to know how you got off of it.
Yeah, so, under the guise of a doctor, not on my own, but a very, I had to push the doctor.
Under the supervision of it.
Yeah.
The guise, I don't think is the right word.
What does that mean?
Guise, it's like, I think it's like almost like not
like a
really.
facade.
Yeah.
Okay. So
like it's a fake under the guise of a fake doctor.
Under the guidance of a doctor.
Guidance,
there we go. That's the right word. So but I had to push him because I found like a lot of Suboxone doctors like they make money off of it.
They want you to
stay on it. So I had to push him like I want to get off of it, and he would cut me.
Why did you want to get off of it?
I didn't like continuing to be on it. I knew I was still like.
Lying.
Right.
You were dishonest, and you had to get drugs to stay well.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing. Like, I have minimal judgment, very little judgment, or no judgment of people on Suboxone. I say, do your thing, and I wish you only the best. I just know that whenever I had to take something to stay well, fucked with my head.
Yeah, no, and I could not work a program on it. Or really grasp the concepts, but what I will say is, like, especially nowadays with the fentanyl, like, what's better?
Suboxone.
Like you're gonna die on fentanyl. Like most, like not, you know what I'm saying. So like if Suboxone is something that keeps you from doing fentanyl, like at least for the time being, like okay, like it helped me to get off of it.
So how long were you on it?
Probably like 18 months to 2 years.
It's the most important thing is exactly what you're saying. Like, it's better to be stable than be unstable. It's better to be living than dying. Just know that if you're on Suboxone, like, you can get off of it. You don't have to, but you can.
Yeah.
Like, or these people on very long-term methadone. You don't have to get off of it, but you can. You were on Suboxone for 2 years. I was on methadone for probably 8 years, off and on, in the end for at least 4 years. And you can get off and you can get well. It's possible, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think there's a huge stigma behind it, especially in the rooms. You hear people,
They don't share about it because they're judged.
Right, exactly.
And in the world of Dopey, we do not judge you. We want to give you some sort of, like, reality check and, like, hope. Like, you can be on Suboxone for long term. You can come off it. So how long was the taper? How long were you on, like, the 0.5 milligram or the 1/4 milligram or whatever?
So they had switched me from the strips to the Subutex at one point because my insurance changed or something like that had happened. And so it was like different dosages with the Subutex, like weird dosages. So there was a point, like at the very end, I started tapering maybe like at about a year. I started coming down, and I would go like a month, and then I would come down like 2 milligrams, and it was.
What was your dose when you started?
16.
Okay.
And it was every single time it came down was easy until it went.
Which is a big dose.
Yeah, but every time it came down, it was fine, no difference until it went from something to nothing.
Do you think that's mostly mental?
Probably, because at the end I was taking like a crumb of the pill.
Well, this is something I talk about all the time on the show. It's like I don't have opinions about anything, but I think it's fucking crazy that they don't have microdoses of Suboxone.
I know.
Like, how can there not be a 1 milligram, a 0.9, a 0.8, a 0.7, a 0.6, a 0.5, all the way down?
Yeah.
Like, why are people having crumbs and they don't know what they're taking? Like, wouldn't a doctor even profit from that system? Like, so you can get down to 0.025 or something so you feel safe?
Yeah. I mean, you're totally right.
I think that's the mark on the world I want to make. If nothing else, really low dose Suboxone pills.
Okay.
That's what I want to do.
I like it.
I believe
like
in it. Do you think that's crazy, or do you think that could be something?
No, I mean, listen, you just need a lot of money to create ideas like this,
But couldn't a pharmaceutical company make money off of that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I think that, it's like...
How can that be medically sound to be like, you're on a milligram, now we're going to start breaking crumbs? And the doctors say, okay, 1 crumb today.
I mean, medically sound. I mean, look at Purdue Pharma and all these companies with oxycodone, that was not medically sound, and it happened, So, I mean, I think it's, is it similar? No,
It
but
just doesn't make sense to me. It's
no,
something
it
that
doesn't.
really bothers me.
It doesn't.
So you're down to the crumb for how long?
Down to the crumb for a couple months. and I'm like doing every other day, but I can't, and I'm getting through it. Like I have the sweats. Like it wasn't terrible, but like I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep no matter what I did. Benadryl, melatonin, I could not sleep. So they put me on Seroquel.
Yeah, that's a good one.
A low dose of Seroquel, which worked.
Yeah,
And so that is really how I like got off of it officially, because I was able to sleep. I could fight through the sweats and like the chills a
How
little
long
bit.
do you think you didn't sleep for?
Well, I still had it, so if I really wasn't sleeping, I would take the crumb of the Subutex, and then I would go back. I'd be like, I can't do it. Like I can't sleep, and they were like, oh, well, let's try you on Seroquel. And at that, I think it was like 25 milligrams.
How long were you on the Seroquel?
A good while, like a long.
And Seroquel's an antipsychotic.
Yeah, it is at higher doses. Yes, it's off label for sleep, but at higher doses, it's used as an antipsychotic. But I was probably on Seroquel, a low dose of Seroquel, until I got sober this time.
I think I could use some Seroquel.
I don't think you need Seroquel.
You think Benadryl is good enough?
Yeah, I think it's probably better than Seroquel in that sense.
I'm just okay. I only did Seroquel like the last time. No, it was the second to last time I went to detox. My neighbor guy in the public detox had like a crazy high dose of Seroquel, and I gave him all access to Marlboro Reds for Seroquels.
Yeah, that'll fuck you up. A high dose like that.
Well,
if
he
you don't
was
take
getting
it,
like 300 milligrams or something crazy, and
Yeah.
I was taking 100 of them at night.
Okay.
Because I was coming off of tons of dope and benzo.
right, yeah.
And it made my stay there really pleasant.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a lot. So I got off the Seroquel when I got sober this time.
Yeah, and
This
then
time
what?
around. I was able to sleep at that point.
And you're still smoking bud.
Well, no. So let's back up.
Please.
So I didn't get off the. I continued to smoke bud, and I was taking Seroquel to sleep
as a counselor.
As a counselor,
And
yes.
you were not disclosing shit.
I acted as if I was in recovery.
Right. Did you feel guilty?
Absolutely. This was like, I'd been through physical withdrawals, and I share about this when I qualify. Is like, this was a time where I like felt my like personality split, because like I knew like I was a counselor by day and like still an addict by night, still doing my dirt by night. But it wasn't like, like I justified that for a long time, and I stopped going to meetings, but I would preach all this shit to my clients and
About meetings.
and yes, exactly. And in what was it? March of 2018 or 19? No, it must have been 2019. I went to Mexico for spring break, and in Mexico, I started drinking it again, doing coke. In Mexico, like if you go off the resort, like and you go into a store, it's like a pharmacy that you could just like pick what you want.
Yeah, that's great.
So as an addict, yeah.
What did you get?
Ritalin.
Wow, you were
Ritalin.
like, out of all the things on the wall.
I didn't choose it. Like I was still like kind
Did
of.
they have oxys?
I don't know. We didn't ask. They had Xanax.
But you didn't. You didn't want it.
No, for some reason. So we did Ritalin, sniffed Ritalin the whole trip, did coke the whole trip, drank the whole trip.
No downers.
No downers. We got some weed, but and it like activated everything they talk about. In the doctor's opinion, like the obsession was back immediately for like the uppers.
I'm surprised you didn't go for the downers at that point.
Yeah, it's weird. I think like because I knew
He would fuck you.
it would fuck me, and I didn't want to go through the withdrawals again, like of all that.
Yeah.
So I just knew it would fuck me so bad, so I stayed away from it. So I came home, and now I'm drinking on the weekends, and I'm doing coke on the weekends, and
And you're still working.
I'm a counselor during the week, and I'm praying Monday. Like I didn't want to do it. Like I knew this is bad. This is not good at this point. Like I knew I was just like fucked again. But like for somehow, like I guess because I was going into work and I still needed to like in my head maintain that, like I wasn't using during the week, and like but Monday I felt like shit, and I would pray every night like on Monday, like please God don't let me do this again this weekend, and because I felt like shit from the weekend at that point. And Thursday comes around.
When did you come up with praying at that point? It was like total foxhole fucking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like you were like, I'm total like self-esteem in the toilet, hate yourself, like
Yes.
because it's almost like, I mean, the dude that beat the old guy, that's bad. This is bad too.
Yeah.
But it's the same kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
like it's total betrayal, and also it's like you can't be the person that you're pretending to
Well,
be.
think about it this way, like people would come up to me and like thank me for like saving their
right,
family
and you're like
member.
a total fucking fraud
Exactly.
in your head.
Exactly.
In reality, you really aren't. You're lying. You're
I'm
presenting.
a hypocrite,
Fine,
but I think
you still are doing good.
I think I think like there was something to that, is that I did, help people, but I was a fake. I was presenting as something, and I was something different. So this continued for like a year, and COVID hit, and we went from the office to home.
seeing clients and stuff.
Seeing clients
on Zoom.
And I never used during work. Like when I was working, like I wouldn't, like I never
No,
used.
because you would be found out.
Exactly. So I maintained that, but I started using during the week after work, or I would I would be up for hours and I couldn't sleep because I'm doing coke, and like it got to the point where like I couldn't leave my house without doing coke, like to even like go see a friend to like just get tropical smoothie, or like random shit. Like I could not leave my house.
Because you were paranoid.
Not even paranoid. Like I just felt like I was at this point where I couldn't socialize or be happy without coke.
And you didn't want to get high on coke and go out with the guys?
No, I did.
All right.
I did.
Yes.
I definitely did. But
But if you didn't have it, you weren't leaving the house.
Exactly.
And the counseling is paying for the drugs.
Pretty much, yeah, for the most part.
Where else is money coming from?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it wasn't a crazy habit at that point.
I mean, it was.
How bad was it at the end?
I mean, it was pretty much. There was a short period where it was like doing it every day. It was maybe
You were
like
snorting it or shooting it?
snorting it.
Did you ever consider shooting it at that point?
There was one point where I considered it, because I had been doing so much that my nose was so stuffed I could not get a thing up my nose, but I didn't do it. Thank God I didn't do it.
Because you were like, if I do this,
it's there's no turning back. Like it'll cross the line. Like in my mind, there was like this imaginary line. Is like, I haven't done opiates, I haven't used a needle, I haven't smoked crack. Like, and that was the imaginary
and
line.
I still have my job.
I knew everything would go downhill if I had done that, which it went downhill anyway. But so basically, what had happened was, I'm using close to every day at this point after work. I'm up for hours. I'm miserable. My girlfriend, like, she knows, like, the jig is up at this point. Like, she knows, like...
Same girl that you're with now?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So, when we had first met, I was using at the time, but she didn't know my history. Like,
she was using with you?
No, she doesn't. We would drink together, but she
it wasn't a
doesn't
big deal.
use.
She didn't know who you were.
Right. She doesn't use. She never did drugs or anything like that. She would just drink here and there. So, the jig was like, so I didn't tell her like, oh, I'm an addict, like she just saw after a point, like every time she would see me, like my pupils are huge, like,
you're fucked up.
I'm fucked up,
Yeah.
So the jig is up with her at this point. Like, she's like, you got to get help. I'm like, I could do it on my own still, thinking in my head, and like, I couldn't do it on my own. Like, and then like, it got to a point where, at the very end, I'd been up for like days, and I was like downstairs, like 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm like just so like almost hallucinating. Like at this point, like I'm in like such a fog and just like haven't slept. And I put a frozen bagel in the microwave for like 5 minutes on high, and I pass out from just like being sleep deprived. And the smoke alarm goes off, and my parents run downstairs, and they're like, "What the fuck's going on? What's going on?" And I'm like, oh, the bagel's in the toaster, and it's not in the toaster, it's in the microwave, and like...
And they're like, no one will microwave a bagel in a Jewish home.
So I was just microwaving to get it soft enough
I know,
to
I'm just
cut
kidding.
it.
I'm just kidding.
So
5 minutes is too much.
So I was like, I gotta get help. Like, I gotta go to rehab. So I didn't even let my job know. And I was just like, I got family things going on.
You told your folks.
Yeah.
You're like, I got to go back. You're like, I fucked up.
Yeah. And
You have a great relationship with your parents.
Oh, they're amazing. They're just like the best people.
Thank God
ever.
you're fucking sober, because that kind of enabling codependence could go the other way.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I can see it with my sister. She's not an addict, but like in different ways. You know, with them enabling, it's all out of love. You know, it's out of love.
I get it.
But they're amazing people, and I don't know where I would be without them. Like seriously, like I have so much love for them.
So where did you go?
I went back to Seafield.
Third time's the charm.
Third time's the charm, and funny enough, it was.
Thank
But
God.
I was so desperate and scared that I did every single thing that they told me to do.
And they were like, you got to go to a sober house.
No, I didn't go to sober house. I came home after.
So and how did you find the meeting?
Well, there were no in-person meetings at the time because it was the height of COVID.
You came 2 summers ago, right? For the first time,
Yeah.
with a shitload of people.
June 2020.
Like, I remember, like, that crew showed up,
Yeah.
and I was like, who are these young people at our
Yeah.
meeting? And I was like, is everything going to change? And like, you know how it goes. Like it
Yeah.
changes for a week, and then people
Yeah.
stop coming.
Yeah, man.
And you stuck it out. Like, how many people stuck it out with you?
So there's one person who was in there who's still sober. One person got sober again and now has over a year sober, but they relapsed. And many of the other people, I don't know where they are, or they're out there using.
It's like sperms to an egg.
Yeah, absolutely. So I stuck it out, you know, and I did, you know, for the first time I did it like the real way. Like I didn't smoke weed. I got off Seroquel, like actually, like completely 100% off of every mind and mood altering substance. And I got a sponsor, and I went through the steps, and here I am today.
What was I gonna say? First of all, Evan is like one of the greatest people I know.
Thank you.
And I love you. And it's fucking like, it's just like, it's funny to hear the story. You know what I mean? It's funny to hear the story. And like, when you're counting days or something, like, do you think you can do it? Like, or like, what was your experience in very early recovery?
I didn't think I had a choice, like not in the sense of like, oh, like people were forcing me, but like I did not want to live in the misery of hiding again and being someone who I wasn't and going back to, you know, doing dope or whatever. So like there was no other option for me except to do it 100%. And that's how I saw it in my mind, you know? So I was miserable the other way for like a while.
Right.
So I was like, this is either what I'm going to do, or like I'll go back out again and I'll keep doing this same shit and I'll be in and out of rehab, or eventually I'll go back to dope. And like it, you know, the way I use, you know, when I first was doing dope, it was heroin. Now it's fentanyl. You know, I'll die if I use the way I use with fentanyl, you know.
When I was in you're 28?
27.
Right. When I was 27, I don't even remember. You know what I mean? Like when I was 27, I was like, I literally don't remember. Like I don't know what my life between 25 and 35 was. Like I don't know if I was in Florida. Like 27, it was. Oh, maybe I do remember. Let me think. If I was born in 1974, I was 27 in 2001, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I knew. I was in New York, and I was on methadone, and I was buying heroin, and I didn't want to get clean. And, like, sometimes you see people, like, there's some people who are 27 that get clean, and I'm sure you know a bunch of people around your age. How do you think, I mean, 27, you have 2 years, so you got sober when you were 25.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of people around that kind of situation? I don't. I mean,
there's a few.
I wasn't doing it. I wasn't close.
There's a few. You know, it's funny because that NA meeting that I went to, I used to go to that meeting, that NA meeting, like before when I was still smoking weed, and there was people like similar age at the time who had like 3-4 years clean, and when I went back, like, a couple of those people had actually relapsed, and they had like less than a year, which is surprising to me. But like that's the scary part. Like you hear it all the time. You hear it all the fucking times. Like people with time, like they go back out.
Well, you know, the thing that I keep hearing about, and I'm hearing a lot about it because our audience, you know, is obviously a ton of addicts in and out of recovery.
Yeah.
and the show, you know, is almost 7 years old. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just about 7 years old, and I'm gonna get, if I don't fuck it up, I'll get 7 years in August. And we started the show when I had like 4 months. So like, I'm hearing about all sorts of people relapsing, and obviously we've heard about a ton of people dying. So like, I think it's incredible. Like, I don't think relapse is as long as you don't die, you know, as long as you can start over, it's like that's the place to be. And like, and I used to resent young people for getting sober, because I think it's funny, but also because like it's annoying to me, like that I couldn't do it. But I'm very happy that you're doing it, and also you're helping people, you're sponsoring
man.
people,
Yes.
and you're working in the field where all that shit can be of use.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's crazy because being able to now, like, I still work at that same place that I was counseling at when I was
Did you cop to it to anybody there?
I did. I admitted to you know, relapsing, even though it wasn't really a relapse because I was never sober, you know, but I admitted to going back into rehab, and they were understanding, and they said, you know, listen, you still have the clinical knowledge, you know, and they let me stay on in a different role, and, you know, today I get to do that job, like, truthfully, like, and I get to do it, like, the right way, and be true to myself and be true to other people, which is cool.
And you had the trial by fire, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so, you know, a year in, I went back to school to the nursing program, like you said before, and, you know, I just recently graduated. I'm waiting to take my state test, and, you know, I'm going to work in psychiatric nursing, you know, and there's, you know, a lot of substance abuse issues in that, you know, so all this experience that I have has led me to this point where now I'm able to use that experience to be a service, you know, which is pretty fucking cool if you ask me, you know?
I think it's amazing. We just have to find that guy.
Who
is the other
amends.
guy? And the guy you robbed for $2,000.
Yes.
Listen, if
yes.
you're out there and a young Jewish man in Philadelphia robbed you for $2,000, please write an email to dopeypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, I would love to make amends some way if that's possible.
And Evan, thank you for coming on, man. You're awesome.
Thanks for having me, man. This
Right on.
has been a good time. Thank you.
So that was Evan. Fucking
gang.
with the serious fucking Dopey.
Ev Gang brought the fiery Dopey.
Robberies, fucking high-speed chases, smoking crack. And how about being a drug counselor on drugs?
Yeah, how about being a fucking bowler?
Oh, yeah, man.
Yo,
I could have just done the whole interview about bowling.
This kid is a stud.
Fucking kingpin.
He's the kingpin.
No, like he's probably the best looking bowler that's ever to bowl.
Ever bowled.
And if he had gone professional, he would be like the Tiger
Yeah,
Woods of bowling.
Exactly. 'cause
Evan,
he's so hot.
yeah, why didn't you think of that? You could still do that. Now he could be
Legit.
the hot nurse bowler.
Legit.
Dude, he could have fucking been the
Wow.
Tiger Woods
You
of
could
bowling.
have a fucking calendar come out of you with like your fucking shirt off in a bowling ball,
Yeah.
and then the nurse's outfit,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
fucking glasses, like counselor
Look
on
at-
the
yeah, yeah.
clipboard,
On the
you know?
beach.
Yeah, Ev Gang Baywatch, yeah.
Well, listen, but Evan is he's a beautiful man inside and out.
Inside now.
And a crazy bowler, it turns out. But Evan, he fucking kicked the truth to the Dopey youth.
And the crackhead dopehead fucking recovered fucking.
You always wonder about the counselors. Like, when does the counselor relapse? And,
Yeah.
you know, like, and you know counselors are relapsing all over the place.
Yeah.
The funny thing with Evan was that he got the job when he was high. You know what I mean? But we got to give, like, major applause to Evan.
Ev Gang.
And this straight Long Island Dopey episode has been it's been awesome. Hold on, I'll read a Long Island email too. What do you think about
all
that?
the way Long Island.
Yeah. Top to bottom. All right, so this isn't really a proper email, but I got this email from this woman, Nicole, and she writes, is this a New York-based podcast? I've been listening for a few months now. I'm an ex-heroin addict who did some fucked up shit and made it through to the other side. Love your content. And I wrote, yes, thanks. I live on Long Island. And she wrote, I live in Center Reach. I stole over $25 from Target in Farmingdale in 2007. Finally made it to the other side in 2018. I want to start a podcast so bad. My sister-in-law, Lisa, and I, it would be so fun. And I was like, huh? $25.
$25.
I was like, I just stole $25 last week. No, and then she writes, oh, sorry, $25,000 she stole from Target.
Shit.
Dude, do you steal?
Now?
Yeah.
No.
Ever?
No.
And did you used to?
Yes.
A lot?
Everything.
Me too. I used to love stealing, man. Stealing was the best, but I don't steal either.
Me neither.
But, you know, I did
accidentally, quote unquote,
no,
walk
no, no.
out.
I stole. I used to steal every time I went to the store.
Yeah.
Like just because it was fun.
Yeah.
And it was value.
Yep.
You know, all that.
All that jazz.
And it was Nora's birthday, and I went to the bagel place, and I didn't have any money, and you know, it's hot bagels, it's cash only. So, so I went to the ATM, and there was a $20 bill sitting in the ATM, and I was like, "Thank you, God."
You stole.
So I took that, and then something else happened that was a little shady. I don't remember, but it was like it was on the fence.
I mean,
and then,
what are you gonna do if you find $20 in an ATM though?
I told the story.
$20 is this?
I told the story at the meeting, and people were like, "I should have given it to the fucking dude, to the hot bagels." I was like,
"Yeah, right."
I was like, "You kidding me?" I think I might have told the story on Dopey, but I'm gonna tell it again. So then the next day, we go to Target. Me, Nora, Susan, and Nora's friend Lucy. We're shopping, whatever. We throw a bunch of shit in the cart, and I buy a bunch of shit. And when we get to the car, like we had a bathing suit we didn't pay for. We had a ball we didn't. It was like underneath the bags. It was underneath their winter jackets.
Wait.
They had because they had taken their jackets off when we walked in because it was hot in there.
They stuffed it in there. Yeah, like that is stealing.
That's high end 12-year-old shoplifting. No, and then we were at the car and there were like all these things that we didn't pay for, and I brought it back in because I'm not fucking stealing at this point.
And you paid for them?
No, I just didn't. I was like, I took these by mistake here. I don't want them.
Wow, you're a good guy.
Wow, that's what I want you to think.
Yeah.
So that worked out.
It's working out.
What about the fucking shopping cart? You bring the shopping cart back?
No.
You don't?
No, now?
Yeah.
No.
You don't?
Still don't. No.
That's next level.
I don't think,
You don't think so?
You know what?
You think there's some idiot that needs to do that and you're depriving him? I swear to God, the people that, and shout out to all the people that deal with the shopping carts, they're deranged. They're scary.
Yeah, a lot of them are. Yeah.
They're like scary.
I don't know where they find, but everywhere you go, the shopping cart guys are like looking a little.
They're talking to themselves.
Yeah, looking a little.
Scary.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I think it's probably a job qualification
Listen,
at that point.
Anyone in the Dopey Nation that's wrangling shopping carts, please write an email. I'll give you socks.
And send a pic.
Yeah, and a pic.
Yeah.
And a voicemail.
Yeah, and a voicemail, yeah.
I have the greatest voicemail. Well, I have a good voicemail, but I'm going to save it for the next time Jay is on. Jay, thank you for coming through.
Oh,
it's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Now, when you listen to the Evans story and you heard that robbery and you hear me go, "Oh my God.
Oh my God."
Do you respect me less? Or you're like, that checks out.
That checks out.
Right.
It's like, oh, Jewish. That was the Jewish dad word
well,
right there.
That
was oh my God.
You've kind of benefited from me being the Jewish dad.
For sure.
You've enjoyed this process.
Enjoyed it.
All right.
Fully.
So we say stay strong, Dopey Nation, and fucking toodles for Chris.
Fucking toodles.
I want to take a walk around the world. I wonder would it do me any good? Until I get some money in my pocket, then I guess I'll just have to walk around my neighborhood. But I want to be good so bad. Want to be so good, so bad, so bad. I want to be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. And I want to take a ride up in the sky. Watch as aeroplanes just pass me by. And I want to see a Lear jetliner take a dive, just to show all of these people what it means to be alive. But I want to be good so bad. Want to be so good, so bad, so bad. I want to be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. And my shadow's getting smaller and smaller, and it's time to where I stand. Shadow's getting smaller and smaller, and it's time to where I stand. And I wonder would they pay it any mind. When I leave this busted city far behind, I'll take the high road, however far it winds, because peace and love are very, very, very hard to find. And I wanna be good so bad. Wanna be good so bad, so bad. I wanna be good so bad. Bad desire's all I ever had. Damn it, all these suckers make me mad. And it's all I ever had. And it's all I ever had. And these suckers make me mad, and I wanna call my dad. And it's all I ever had. 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 And these suckers make me mad, and it's all I ever had. And I wanna call my dad. And it's all I ever had. And it's all I ever had. And it's all I ever had.